Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is Thursday. It's October the 7th, 2021. It's another Technical Alpha podcast. Glad you could join us today, whether you're catching us live here on twitch.hack.tv or if you're joining us on Spotify or YouTube or anywhere else. We had a random tweet. Well, I guess it wasn't really random. Random tweet, I'll call it regardless, from one of our listeners in Russia who said, finally, Spotify brought podcasts there and so that they can listen to Technical Alpha. And there was one other podcast, but let's be honest, only ours matters. But they can finally listen to us on Spotify. Yeah, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. If it's your first time here, bless you for stopping by, whether you're here through Mr. Black's RP stream. I'm guessing RP was today, or otherwise. Thank you for stopping. We talk about video games, movies, television, all sorts of nonsense, and we pretend to think that people care about our opinions, which is like most podcasts. Honestly, you really have to have a lot of confidence in yourself to do a podcast, because you have to believe that somebody gives a fuck about the words coming out of your mouth. You have to at least pretend. You don't have to know, you just have to pretend that somebody cares. And that's what we do best here, and we've been doing it for a long time. We got another great show lined up for you today, but before we start, as always, I've got to ask the most important of the question of the week. Mr. Black, how's your week?
It was just another week this week.
Wow, we're back to another week.
Yeah, it's just another week. The tenant is moved out of my old house, so I got a bunch of stuff done there. I just got to do one more thing. Got to try and find my old wedding ring. And outside of that, nothing else substantial has happened this week. So same old same.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
We were gone for a few days. Em and I went down to the old family home for our last. I wasn't expecting another week. I took a bite of my cookie and now I'm caught with my pants down. We did another trip to the family home, our last one for the year before we have to shut the home up for the winter. And so we got down for a few days. We were originally planning to go for a full week and come back. Well, not a full week, sorry. It would have been like 5 days or whatever. We would have come back on the Wednesday, but we had to cut it a day and change short because we had other family members that were coming down to stay through Thanksgiving. And so we came back on Tuesday, but it was nice. Wonderful weather, beautiful weather, as I guess you guys also had here. It wasn't much different here. Did some work around the yard while we were there because the weather was so nice, and just did some stuff so that Dad wouldn't have to do it when he went down. And otherwise just kind of relaxed, enjoyed that weather, and hung out, and that's all I needed. I'm a very simple man, Mr. Black. I don't need a lot going on. I get the fuck away from the city. Sit in that house or outside on the property, have a beer, play some fucking Scrabble, and watch some Star Trek. That's all I need in my life. Maybe get a different TV down there at some point. Not a really big one, because that would be a waste of time. But one that the speakers don't sound like ass, because it drove me crazy the whole time we were there. Just like, just complete shit. This is one of my older TVs I had in the workout room, and I don't know why the speakers sound like somebody's killing a cat, but it does. It just slowly driving me insane. So, other than that, yes, wonderful time, as always. And now we're back. So I didn't do anything else today other than preparing for the podcast. I wrote my review for the Forgotten City, so that will be up probably early next week. And otherwise, I'm just kind of back to it. Oh, I also, because as we'll talk about later today, probably the biggest news of the week is Twitch needs to hire better InfoSec employees, as the entire website just is now, they went open source. Congratulations for going open source, Twitch. It was a bold move, and I think a lot of people appreciate going open source. But I wasn't on that list, Mr. Black, and so I've got to step my income game up, so I'm hopping on Fiverr. I'm going to try and put my voice to use. The room that I'm in is good enough for Fiverr. It's not good enough to go back to voices.com or voices123. I can't be competing with all of the fucking whisper room motherfuckers out there. But on Fiverr, I can make some money on Fiverr. So
Good.
So I spent some time setting that up. I picked up Isotope to clean up the remainder of the room stuff that Adobe Audition just can't quite do. And I think do you use Isotope plugins?
I don't think so.
Okay,
I don't think that's on my chain.
You probably know of Isotope. They've been around since the dawn of time at this point. They over there at Isotope, Black Magic, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know who the fuck wrote some of the algorithms that they have for cleaning up audio, but actual Black Magic blew my fucking mind. It especially for like mouth noises, because when you're doing voiceovers, you don't have the luxury. On the podcast, I can be kind of far from the microphone, but when you're doing voiceover work, you kind of have to. You have to be real fucking close to your mic, and no matter how much water you drank ahead of time, you're always gonna get the weird mouth sounds. And if you're not doing some ASMR shit where people are jerking off to the sounds of your mouth, it doesn't sound good. You don't need that shit there. It's bad time. And Isotope specifically has a plugin for getting rid of those sounds, and I swear to God, it's magic.
I heard about it. Yeah, I heard about it.
It's fucking black magic. Like, Audition has one that's kind of similar, but it's more specific to just declicking in general. So let's say you were like recording or converting a record to digital, and you get clicks and stuff either from dust or the grooves are kind of fucked because it's an older record and whatnot. It's more for that. So you can do like an okay job, but when you fucking use the Isotope shit, I swear to fucking God, Gandalf himself is fucking cleaning up your audio. The shit's crazy. So anyway, I did that, and that's been it. And so that was my week. And now it's time to talk about video game news, Mr. Black, shall we?
Do it.
Konami! Couple of rumors from Konami coming this week, including one that they are working on a new Castlevania title that's a reimagining of the entire series. And is getting dev support, or is at least open to getting dev support from a third party. And another rumor that Eurogamer confirmed that they've also heard is that Metal Gear Solid 3 Remake project is actually a thing, and it was originally to be made in the more recent Fox engine, which I think was like what the most recent Metal Gear Solid game was built in, for example. And using elements from the Metal Gear Solid 3 pachinko machine, whatever that would have been. I didn't know that they were making canonically, I didn't know they were making canon changes to the Metal Gear Solid franchise via pachinko machines, but apparently they were. And so they were originally going to work whatever the hell that is into this remake. Now that it's up in the air now if that remake is still happening, but if it is, then well, there you go. A lot of people will be excited about it, but I'm just okay. Konami said, another part of this is that Konami apparently has said, it mentioned, some of their uppers have mentioned to some people that that Konami does want to re-enter the premium game development market, which they occupied for many years, most of our life, and then at one point they said, deuces, pachinko is all the rage in Japan, and we make more money on pachinko machines than we do with our video games, and so we're just gonna do pachinko now. And everyone said, fuck! Because there goes Silent Hill, there goes Metal Gear Solid, there goes a lot of these intellectual properties that they have their hands on. So that was an unfortunate route. But they want to come back in, Jeff. They're knocking on the door, they want to come back in. And I guess one of the routes in which they want to take is to maybe redo Metal Gear Solid 3. The company or the developer that they've apparently singled out for this is Virtuous, who has done a lot of ports and has acted as AAA support for other developers in the past. And there was a list that I meant to plug in there to give you an idea of what games they've done. Just know that they have some decent pedigree. There's some games in there that are pretty good video games that they have worked on. So if it does come through and they are part of the project, then there is some hope that it won't be complete ass. And that Konami might actually have, a good first step back into the market. But otherwise, There you go. The Castlevania title specifically apparently is expected to be first, but we're going to hear more about these things, according to Nibel on Twitter anyway, in 2022. But Castlevania is expected to be first. That's a bold one. Castlevania, doing a reboot of Castlevania is a bold move, Cotton. But at the same time, you know, it's been around for so long, you probably could get away with doing a reboot of Castlevania. Do you got a couple of the old ones back there on the wall somewhere? You must have at least a couple.
I think I have all of them.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Did you ever actually play the Castlevanias, or were you not a Castlevania guy?
A little bit, but it's not really my...
Dude, those games, you know why I stopped playing them? Because they kicked my fucking ass. They destroyed me as a child. They destroyed my confidence as a gamer. I thought I was like kind of okay. Here I am playing Super Mario 3. Ooh, I can make it to the fucking tank level. Look at me go. And then you pop in fucking a little bit of Castlevania and you can't get out of the third screen. It was like playing Ninja Gaiden. You just get your shit kicked over and over and over again. That was me. Except with Castlevania. So I gave up on it. But relatively popular shit, to say the least. And honestly, the best thing I think that's coming to Castlevania in a long time is the Netflix anime, which was actually really, really well done. and not just in Japanese. If you listen to it in English, you didn't want to kill yourself. It was a wonderful time. So whatever they do, they've got to live up to that now. Next up, coming up in, or on, I should say, October 27th for the handful of folks, which apparently there must be more than a few, who are still buying games on the PlayStation 3 online store, as well as the more obscure PS Vita online store. Credit, debit, PayPal, etc. will no longer be able to be used to add funds to your account directly through those consoles. Instead, you have to either use gift cards, specifically, to load it up if you're going to use the PS3 or the Vita, or you have to load up your Sony account via a PS4, PS5, or PC with those other aforementioned normal means, you know, debit, credit, and all that other shit, and then go back to your PS3, PS Vita, and have the balance be there. They say this is a security measure, but in reality, this is, you know, if you remember, I don't know, we did talk about it on the podcast, I'm almost positive, where they said they were just going to shut down the online store for PS3 and PS Vita, and then the internet said, fuck you, and Sony said, fine, and so this is like their half measure where they're like, all right, for security reasons, which they really should have just said, we're meeting you halfway. You didn't want to shut it down, but we're gonna, you know, we've got to make it cheaper for us on our end, so, I don't know, use a PS4, a PS5, or a PC, load up your shit, and then buy your games on your PS3 or your PS Vita. Not exactly a big deal. At this point, if you're going to do this, I guess you might as well have just fucking shut the whole thing down. But there has to be, I mean, they had to have investigated and found that there's a reasonable number of people that are still buying shit on those platforms. Otherwise, why even do this? And knowing Japan, and the handful of people still using a Vita, maybe they are buying a shitload of games on those platforms. I don't fucking know. It's not me. Is it you? Are you buying games on... No? No.
That ain't it.
What is your take on the Vita, by the way? Or just the PSP, like, lineage in general? What was your take on that? Because I feel like they almost had it. Like, there was something there, but they, for whatever reason, just couldn't quite convince enough people to buy the damn thing.
I mean, I don't really have much of an opinion. I've owned all of them. I still have a Vita and a PSP.
Oh, you still have a couple, do you?
Yeah.
Are those your originals, or are those ones that you've picked up, like,
those
in...
were just ones I picked up at yard sales and shit.
Mm-hmm.
I actually did buy a PSP when it first came out, and I did use it a decent amount. But
was that that was like they used the what were they called,
discs.
the UMD drives or whatever it was called? Yeah.
They were great for playing like RPGs on and things like that, but there was just something about, I mean, for one, Nintendo always just did it better, like always.
Yeah.
And then there was just something about playing your favorite games on a handheld when you can play the same games on a TV that just felt like a lesser than experience than what, you know, it was kind of like watching the new James Bond movie in bed on your TV. when
you
you
could be doing it in the theater,
experiencing it in IMAX. You know, it's like, yeah, you're still getting the game, you're still getting the movie, but like the experience is just not as good. And I just wasn't on the go enough to like really play it. So if I was playing it, I'd be playing it like at home. And it's like, why am I playing this at home? I just put it in the PlayStation. Or whatever,
that was like the awkward thing. I think was that even when they got, and I think the Vita was the closest they got to really. Then they got rid of the discs or UMD discs or whatever the fuck.
Yeah,
that was stupid as hell. That was like the GameCube micro disc thing. That was a weird choice. Fucking stupid. But the I think like when I think the point that you made about why would you play it on the handheld when you could just play it on the TV? I immediately think of the Nintendo Switch, right? Which the solution to that was you have this handheld, but you just dock it and it outputs to a TV. Imagine if, and it's not like the technology didn't exist when the Vita came out, where if they just said, if we want to extend the life of this handheld and appeal to a broader audience, because part of the problem was they were developing these bordering on AAA experiences, but they were specific to the handheld, and there wasn't a lot of like crossplay between the handheld and the main console. And so you had these games like I think there was like one of the SOCOM games were really popular on the PS Vita or the PSP, but it never it didn't land on the main console, and in some cases vice versa, where you're like, why isn't this game that's on the main console just on the Vita? Like this could easily be done on the Vita. If they had marketed, and I think they did have something like that. Yeah, like Micro is saying PSTV. Like if they had something like a physical dock like the Switch, and you could just use your PlayStation controller to power it on your TV, maybe that would have extended it a bit. Because you have to imagine, if the Switch has done well, there's no reason why the Vita wouldn't have been able to do well if it had the same form factor, right? The whole hold it in your hand or put it in a dock and play it on the TV.
Yeah, but the Nintendo Switch, it doesn't have any other consoles. So like the Nintendo Switch, there isn't like another Nintendo console. That is the console, right? Like the Vita is still going to
still compete.
It's still going to be competing against the console, right? So it is different. And Nintendo puts all of their stuff on there, like everything, right? So I just don't think the Vita was implemented well at all. And I don't think the PSP was a big enough leap of technology that it captured the attention of the masses. I don't think turning it into a console handheld would have helped its case very much. It would have added another $100 on the price tag and I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But I don't know.
We'll never know.
We'll never know.
We'll never know. People were, however, because I think that the Vita had an OLED screen. People have been comparing the new Switch OLED screen to the old Vita OLED, and obviously the Switch OLED screen, far newer panel, is brighter. But it gave you an appreciation for how good the Vita screen actually looked. It was a little bit ahead of its time, to say the least. And that new Nintendo Switch OLED screen does look fantastic. I couldn't possibly imagine buying another Switch just for that. But for the people that are just getting into the fucking ecosystem, well, that's a pretty solid upgrade, especially for somebody that plays in handheld mode a lot. Because honestly, unless you have a halfway decent TV, playing it in handheld mode on that OLED is probably going to look better than most people's televisions at this point, especially if you've got an older one. So, yeah, anyway, there you go. So, yeah, I guess that's all on that topic. I was just saying that seems like a half measure to just removing the storefronts altogether, which is probably going to happen in the not too distant future regardless, but this is kind of like their half step. Next up, here it is, Mr. Black, the big one for the week. Twitch! Oh no! I woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning to take Em to work. I rolled over, I picked up my phone, I turned it on, and the first fucking thing that's on my Twitter feed is Twitch's entire fucking code base was leaked. The whole Git repository, the whole fucking kit and caboodle, top to bottom, shit that's like almost back to the inception of Twitch And then on top of that, some more recent, I think 2019, 2020 revenue numbers for I don't know if that was like subs plus ads or just subs or what those numbers were, but for the top whatever 1,000 partners
10,
or whatever the shit it was, was it 10,000?
Yeah.
I actually haven't looked at the list.
I'm
Just the ones that
401, baby. 401.
Hey!
I didn't get Grandmasters. I wasn't in the top 200, but we broke 401. We couldn't break the 400.
There's always next year.
I wasn't in the millionaire club.
Hey, you know what? Actually, given the age of the numbers, maybe you have bumped yourself up a couple of spots since those numbers were relevant. It's possible.
I might have. It's possible.
It's possible. I can tell you where I'm on the list, somewhere between 9,999 and not even on there.
I think you are on there. Somebody said.
I might be, honestly. If it's 10,000, I probably am, but I would be about 9,999 on that list. But you know what? Like a lot of conversation obviously is centered around that, which is, there's two conversations happening. One, it's the streamers mostly, joking about the financial thing, but then talking about the ramifications of having the entirety of Twitch fucking leaked to the internet. And the other side is a lot of the viewers talking almost exclusively about the revenue numbers coming out for these channels. And it was kind of surprising to me at this point that so many people are still shocked about the numbers, because even the bigger streamers, most people, this isn't hidden information, especially subscriber counts, and you can easily take a stab at how much money you could ballpark these numbers with publicly available information. And so there's a lot of people still somehow shocked that some of these people are making as much money as they are in the run of a month on subscribers. So that was a bit weird. And then the other conversation that, of course, came up was that now that you've seen the top 10,000, and you see how quickly it drops off like a cliff, right? Where you're getting like, XQC or whatever at $760,000 or whatever in a month, and then you've got, your numbers going down from there. And then once you break out of like maybe the top 1,000, it's like it just fucking yeets itself.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is to do with viewership, right? So like the ad the ad revenue is massive for X and a Summit or any of these other big streamers that
do we know if that's ad revenue plus subs in those? Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure if it was just sub or if it was sub plus ad revenue in those numbers.
Yeah, so I mean, that's probably why there's such a large. I mean, if you've got tens of thousands of viewers and you're running one set of ads, like you're making hundreds of dollars from just one 30-second break, right? It's like, people, large streamers are making tens of thousands of dollars a month just in ad revenue. Could be even like some big ones making hundreds of thousands. Like it's not even an exaggeration. So yeah, I think that might be the part that like threw some people off, because I mean, you're right, like people's sub counts are right there. If you see a streamer and they've got 50,000 subs, they're at least making $2.50 a sub. Yeah. And if they have that much, they're getting more than that. Their revenue split is way better than that. So like just do the math, it's right there. And the crazy thing is people are like, oh my god, like these streamers are making millions of dollars a year. It's like, dude, this is just Twitch money. This is actually probably the smallest part of the pie.
It is absolutely for the majority of anyone that you're seeing on that list. This is like the smallest number.
This is the toppings. The big money comes from brand deals. That's where the big fucking money is. Like huge money. Like millions for some of these people, right? So like, then you got donations, you got merch. Some of these people, some of these streamers have large YouTube channels that are making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on. Like there's a lot more than You know, so like people's full pays. I mean, there's going to be some streamers on the list that all they do is stream on Twitch and they don't do sponsors. They don't do, or not very many that would make any substantial amount of a difference.
But if you're looking at the top 500, that's.
But if you're looking at the top, you know,
they're doing more than just.
Of course.
Twitch revenue.
If they're not, they need to get representation immediately, and they need to learn how to run a business because they're leaving a lot of money on the table. But yeah, no, it's crazy. It doesn't surprise me at this point that everything gets leaked out.
The leak of like most stuff is not surprising, but when the entire website's code base gets leaked, that was a bit shocking to me, because that's like, I don't think I've ever heard of that happening anywhere before, where the entire everything, repository, the whole thing, code notes all the way down through, completely fucking dumped on the internet is shocking for me anyway. The other stuff not so much, but that was kind of shocking. But yeah, sorry, continue.
Yeah. So I mean it's there. Twitch didn't say much for a while until they said, yeah, we've been compromised. It doesn't seem like anybody's passwords or anything like that got leaked to our knowledge. And Twitch would have said something if that was the case by now.
Well, the passwords are there, but they're hashed or whatever the fuck.
Yes.
So they're
you're not gonna know what it is
unless somebody has a lot of time to brute force through some shit. And that's why even then you just change your password and you're
but I mean
good.
Everybody was freaking out like, change your password now, and I'm like, guys, I didn't really. I was just like, breathe a little bit, because for one, if somebody's hacked the accounts and you change your password, they're gonna see your password, your new password. Like wait until Twitch gets shit under control, and then make the proper adjustments. If you have 2FA, you're fine anyway. So everybody just kind of freaking out, and I just found it more entertaining because Twitch literally the day before was shitting on Facebook for going down, and they were talking about posting memes and making fun of them and hitting the like button and stuff. And here they are the next day, less than 24 hours later. It's like 12 hours later.
Dude, they trended harder than Facebook. There was like 800,000 tweets.
Way harder. It was way harder. I mean, it was just you couldn't write the karma any thicker. So yeah, this is just another thing. I mean, I think people were surprised on how much streamers make, but I think at the same time they weren't. I've been hearing a lot of other discussions that seem to be more of a discussion than anything, because even the streamers are like memeing themselves. It's like, oh, you guys,
absolutely.
You guys didn't know we made millions of dollars.
Like nobody could be seriously upset about
my Lamborghini.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, you have no idea why we all moved to Texas, so we don't pay taxes. Or I guess income tax. It's not, if it's not a big secret. I mean, obviously there are a lot of streamers that don't show their sub counts. They don't want people to know how much money they make. Some streamers are afraid that if people knew how much money they make, that they wouldn't support, which means they wouldn't make as much money. But ultimately, I don't,
there is a weird fine line between.
Just don't be braggadocious about it. Just don't be a guy that's like, hey, I've got millions of fucking dollars. I mean, unless you're like Doc, right? Like a guy that his
persona like covers his ass in that regard,
his persona, and like to be cocky and arrogant and like all this stuff is like, you just get it. But I mean, if you're kind of somebody like, if you're gonna be a streamer, right, and you're gonna complain about like, oh, I'm having a hard time paying my bills, or I'm really hurting, guys, and you're making $500,000 a year or $1 million a year, I mean, you kind of look like an idiot. But if you're just doing your job and you're doing whatever, it's like who can really say anything? Like it is what it is. I mean, and that's just not even a representation of what they've made.
No, the discussion. Well, I mean, it really does show you how many people just don't know about the revenue aspects of content creation, whether it's YouTube or Twitch or otherwise, and or at least to the extent, because there seems to be a couple groups of people. There's one group that thinks that like everyone on Twitch is making, and it's a partner, is making like fucking amazing money, and then there's the other people that are on the other side of the coin where they live in a world where their favorite streamer, even if their favorite streamer's in like the top 250 people on the website, aren't raking in tons of money, and so they'll keep just sending in like half of their paycheck a month to a streamer, and there is like, it's not something, none of these topics could be broad stroke, but there is definitely, like, for example, the concept you talked about, people not telling others about their sub counts and whatnot. There is, depending on the community that you're in, this weird line that you're walking between people supporting you because they actually support your content creation, and people supporting you because it's a bit of your content creation, but them trying to, like, there's like a parasocial relationship in which they're supporting you, like as a person, versus you're creating content that I consume and I want to pay you for that.
Yeah.
And then there's people that are, I'm just going to give you money because I like you and I think that you need this money, and so here it is.
Yeah, I don't. I think that's a lot less for. I think that second part largely is on streamers that aren't fully established and aren't, there's gonna be viewers or fans that are gonna want to give to you in any way they can because they want to help you out and stuff like that. Like, I get that, but I would like to think that most people that support my content, there are some that I would like to think that they're doing it to make sure that, for one, they appreciate it and they consume a lot of it, so they want to support it, and to make sure that it can keep going. Because the reality is, man, if like people don't support the stream, like I'm just not streaming. Like, it's just, and there's a fine line. So I get that, but I'm not upset about stuff getting out. And to be honest, I didn't even look at what number they said I made, and I didn't even like fact check it because it's hard. I mean, I guess I theoretically could look on the back end of Twitch and like see if it matches up. But I would assume that things are probably relatively close, seeing as from the numbers from the other streamers. And, I'm a streamer, so I kind of know, give or take, like sort of what people are making. But yeah, no, I mean, who cares? Dude, for me, I'm happy for everybody. If they're making millions of dollars, hey, good on you.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Like, I'm happy for
you. Because the discussion is similar to like, why do actors in movies make X dollars, and then the director only makes X dollars, kind of thing. It's like this this view of any form of entertainment, any entertainment industry, where they say, is this person, like, the immediate thing is a Twitch streamer, is Tim the Tat Man really worth more than a brain surgeon? And the answer to that is well, Tim isn't performing brain surgery, so thankfully he's not getting paid for doing brain surgery. But at the same token, there are fewer people paying to have brain surgery than there are paying to watch Tim the Tat Man play a video game for $5 a month. You get hundreds of thousands of people, and a large portion of them are going to spend $5 a month on your shit. It's not like each one of those people are paying you $150,000 to perform brain surgery on you. They're paying you $5 a month. It just so happens that the amount of people paying is huge. It's volume. And so then you get sponsorship deals because you have the eyeballs and people want advertising money. And that's just kind of what the market pays for this shit. It's not like if you came to me and said, like, I make more than teachers do, for example. If you said, hey, you think you're worth more than, earning more than a teacher in a year? No, of course not.
I do.
I don't think I should necessarily. I don't think that I'm more value to society than a teacher.
Well, there you go. That's a better thing. But in terms of money, yeah, I absolutely think I deserve more money than teachers because I hold more economic value than a teacher does, right? So I bring more dollars to my employer, right? A teacher, they are. This is gonna sound bad because I already, it's whatever. I don't give a fuck what people think. I'm just telling you guys the truth. the teacher's value in terms of like an economic value is very low in comparison to a Tim the Tap Man, myself, and many others, even you, for example. Now, in terms of the value you bring to society, in terms of like your impact on society, yeah, teachers are much more valuable. I think having one less gamer on the internet gaming opposed to having one less teacher, in terms of impact on youth, etc., however you want to put it, yeah, teachers are more important. But in terms of economic value, is the money you generate for the industry, our economic value is much more higher than what most teachers. There are some teachers that get paid millions of dollars, and they are very specific, and they bring specific economic value because the ones that they're teaching are bringing massive economic value to the industries that they're going into. But I'm talking about your everyday high school teacher, or whatever. There's only so much economic value they can bring, and if they don't want to do it, there's going to be somebody else that can go into their shoes, because the level of expertise or talent that you need to be a high school teacher isn't in the same realm as the expertise that you would need at that same level in gaming. So, and I don't mean gamers are smarter, but the benchmark, right? You're when you're a teacher, you're in a pool, right? It's like if you're a firefighter, you're typically in a pool. Like, obviously you're going to have like your leaders or your chiefs or whatever they call them, and they're going to hold a little bit more value. But there's a benchmark. But when it comes to a streamer, video games, or an actor, or a musician, whatever art you want to talk about, is the barrier to entry is different, and there is a much higher scale ability than there is with a teacher. It doesn't mean that you're more important than a teacher or more important than a brain surgeon. Brain surgeons are pretty fucking important, but for their own reasons. But your ladder for your ability to make more is way bigger. It's the same thing if you're a lawyer and you just go work for a law firm. You might make $100,000, $150,000 a year. But if you open up your own practice, you can make millions of dollars a year, because you hold more economic value to the industry and you're able to get more out of it. So, this argument that I hear, and I haven't heard it very often in terms of this. I have seen some tweets and I read some articles about like, oh my God, how are these streamers making this much? It's just like, they bring more economic value to the industry, so they're worth more. I'm not going to complain. Like, dude, I stream a lot more than some of these other streamers that are making 20 times more than I am. Doesn't mean that I think I'm more important or that I work harder. They just bring more value. They have a niche. They have a lane. Maybe they're in a game that just has a bigger spread. Maybe they've networked better. Maybe they're just doing things differently, and so they hold more of an economic value. Doesn't mean one streamer is more important than the other in terms of the value you give to society, like morally or whatever. It's
no, it's where
you generate.
Yes, it's but so I think the distinction is, and I'm not, and this is everything I'm about to say is not a counterpoint to what you just said, because what you said is true. It's there's an immediacy of value in the entertainment industry that doesn't exist in other sectors. So entertainment value can be huge, and it can happen and can be generated in like a day. You can have somebody, and you can measure it. It's easy to measure. It is easy to measure when you've got an attractive chick on Instagram or TikTok pushing some random fucking pre-workout supplement in the background of her wearing the same pair of yoga pants that 1,000 other chicks are wearing. it's easy to measure that. You know how many people are going through a link. You know how many people are buying the product. You can immediately apply a value economically to that, and it can be a huge generator of economic value, monetary value. So it's really easy to track and immediate. There's a lot of immediacy. As we all know, everyone likes to pay a lot of money for immediate anything. It's really challenging for some, when people start to bring up things like teachers, for example, or firefighters, like you said, it's difficult because it's challenging to, one, their economic impact is not as easily measurable. It's not as immediate, and it's not in a place in which there are so many hands, I guess, trying to get into the cookie jar all at the same time, I guess is the way that I could put it. So like with teachers, for example, regardless of what level of a teacher you're talking about, whether it's like a primary school teacher all the way up through elementary school and then junior high and high school and beyond, is the economic impact of each individual teacher that any individual student comes across is correlated with how good of a teacher they were and what the students' absorption of whatever it is that they were providing of that material all the way up through. If you have shitty teachers, you oftentimes end up with dumber people. It's just kind of the way, like, if otherwise we wouldn't look back at our time at school and be able to readily determine which teachers fucked us up and which teachers were actually very beneficial to us as a student, or at the same time, which teachers perhaps should not have been a teacher at all. But like in university, where they've been, they have tenure and they could do literally whatever the fuck they want and they're never going to get fired. So you show up to class, you're paying all this money, and all they do is say, open up the textbook that I wrote 5 years ago, read the chapter, and I'm going to loosely quiz you on it, but I'm not actually going to teach you anything in this class. Go have fun. Versus other teachers that aren't tenured that oftentimes or professors that aren't tenured that oftentimes end up being the most beneficial to you from a learning perspective. And then when you come out the other side, whether you're learning within the school system or whether you went to a vocational school, or let's say you were learning a trade or something of that nature, the value of a teacher in any of those steps is not immediate economic value, but it's the value of the person that comes out the other side and how much money they generate.
They're replaceable.
So are you and I.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we don't have a career that is guaranteed, right? That's why our span of life isn't that of a teacher that can have a career for 30, 40 years. It's why most of us have 3, 5-year careers, 2-year careers, 1-year career. 1 year you're really good and you're on top, the next you're not. So that reflects that. We're replaceable very quickly, right? With a teacher. How does that
replaceability convert to higher dollar value between the two situations?
Because if you're really good at your job and you're in terms of when you're I'm just using a streamer because what we do and that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
If you're a Tim the Tat Man or you're a Dr. Lupo or whatever, you're not as easy replaceable. Right? You are an anomaly. Right, you are the 0.0001% of an industry of millions and millions and millions of people, and so you're going to have a massive impact, and you're not as easily replaceable. Just like how if you have an amazing university teacher or a film teacher that can bring in some of the best actors and actresses, they want to learn from you. They will pay you tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars to enter your course to be taught by you because you bring economic value to them and the skills that they can have to go out there and make it in Hollywood. Even having your name that you've been taught by this person holds economic value. So they get paid a lot more than, say, a junior high or a high school teacher. I'm not saying the importance of a junior high or high school or an elementary school teacher isn't important. It's very important. because teachers mold your children.
Well, it comes down to what people place arbitrary value on. So there's an arbitrary value to the Juilliard school, right? Versus
but what I'm
else.
saying is a junior high, a high school, and an elementary school teacher, they're very replaceable, and there are so many of them that their economic value, they're not they don't specialize in something that brings in large amounts of money, right? You don't become a teacher to make large amounts of money. You just don't. Listen, if teachers get into teaching and then they start bitching about how much money they make, I mean, this is literally what you signed up for, and nothing has changed. So unless you are that special teacher that can bring economic value to a university or a trade or whatever, that people demand you, or you become a great tutor that, people that you are really making an impact outside of your normal job, that's when you can start caking up. Is because people, okay, well, you're so good with kids that, my son or daughter can, pass this grade or whatever. That's how you bring more economic value to yourself as a teacher. What I'm saying is there are so many teachers and there's not enough jobs. With streaming, it's an open market. With acting, it's an open market. With a musician, it's an open market. It's whatever you want to. It's there is no ceiling. There's no cap. But as a regular teacher, there is a cap, and you are capped, and you know what you're getting yourself into. So that's why you cannot compare apples to oranges. They're two different industries, and they're two different beasts altogether. One has a ceiling, and one doesn't. And you can argue that a teacher's ceiling, you can really elevate the ceiling to a degree. Like if you want to work in the summers when nobody else is working, you want to tutor after school or whatever, or you want to be that university teacher that wrote all the textbooks and are selling $500,000 worth of textbooks a year for the school, and that gets tenure, and it's like, hey, look at me. Then so be it. I mean, that's why those university teachers make large amounts of money, way more than an elementary school teacher, because they just hold more value economically. Once again, this isn't me saying who's more important of a person and your value as a human being. This is an economic value only. It's just facts. That's just it.
Yeah.
But one argument that I've heard from some articles here about all this money that these streamers are making is the majority of those people aren't even making minimum wage. So like if you look at what the streamers and how many hours they're putting in, et cetera, that they're not even making minimum wage. And that once again strengthens my argument that it's what you put in. It's the skill, it's the cap. There's so many streamers that it is tough to really make it in the industry, and the ones that do are rewarded handsomely financially because they have the eyeballs. Same with that attractive Instagram model. It's you get paid what you're worth, and that's just it in that specific industry.
Yeah, I think a lot of it too is like where the money is coming from. So in our business, the money is coming from largely the tech and entertainment sector, which is worth bajillions of fucking dollars to the point where they can come out and companies can justifiably pay somebody to play 4 hours of their video game for $75,000 whereas in the other jobs that we've discussed, by and large, like just to stay within the same lanes, teachers and firefighters are often government positions, or they're paid, at least in Canada, for example, they're and I think even in the U.S., they're paid out of the government's coffers. And so, you'd have to almost take it into consideration what like a private school, for example, where each student is paying
$25,000 a year,
$25,000-$30,000 a year for an individual student.
Yeah,
and then whatever the teachers are making at a private school versus a public school, even though they're serving essentially the same functions.
But they bring in revenue. Yeah, but they bring in economic revenue.
They bring in revenue, but like, you know, talking to or knowing friends that have gone to private school, you had just an equal chance that your teachers sucked balls as they were really good. It's just that they convinced somebody to get a job at a private school.
Yeah, but that's not
versus
the argument,
doing a
though.
public school.
But
No,
that's not
no,
the
I
argument.
understand.
You're using two different arguments to blend
I'm not
it to
trying.
make-
I'm not actually trying to make an argument of any of this. What I'm
Okay.
saying, I'm not even trying to have an argument about it. What I'm saying is that it depends on where the money is coming from. So in a private institution, where you have people that have money, that have placed value on a private education, are willing to pay the dollars. The government, in a public sense, is not willing to or want to spend $30,000 per student in what they consider to be education value, and spread that across whatever that is, whether it's teacher wages or otherwise. That money doesn't. If you look at the amount of dollars per
isn't
student,
the same either. The atmosphere isn't the same, right? So it's not just about what's public and what's private, right? You're paying. You're not just paying for better teachers. Typically, for a private school, you're paying for the segregation of not being part of the public school system, which has typically more issues, more, you know, in terms of, you know.
Well, by and large, you're paying for what is considered to be a higher quality teacher with a better teacher to student ratio is 99% of that. And then the name on the other side, when you're pushing your son or daughter through private school into a higher end university, when they come out the other side, their acumen is, look at all of the schooling that I've had versus somebody else's schooling. You're paying for a name, you're paying for a better teacher-student ratio, and you're paying for what is supposed to be a higher quality teacher in general, because they're supposed to be, or
you're able to dedicate
assumed
more
to be
time.
vetted.
You're able to dedicate more time to a student.
Yes,
But
because of the ratio. Yeah.
a lot of people that put their kids in private school, it's not necessarily as much as you. A lot of it isn't for better
It's
education.
prestige.
It's prestige.
Yes.
It's get away from the lower class, and we don't want to associate. We don't want to have certain class of people mingling and and putting impressions on our child.
The reasons for why there is not what I'm trying to even have a conversation about. What I'm saying is that,
but there's value in that to the person that's paying, right?
Yes, yes. You have officially managed to get my point. Is that the person putting value in these two positions? If you had to look at it as a whole body, the government is this singular person that is deciding the value that they place on the public school system and how much money to spend, and therefore how much money teachers make. That's it. That's one side. That's the public side. The private side, which in every sector has more money than the government side, because the government side, short of military expenditure, that's the show. And even private military is oftentimes
it's the same thing with
money.
Public and private healthcare. It's the same thing.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So people that are putting the value, it's their choice of putting it, and that actually illustrates the point even more, that it's not even necessarily about the true value that a private school would bring, but like you said, it's just the prestige of it. It's the thought thought of it. Yes, the value. It's the value that the individual is placing on it, right? So it doesn't actually have to mean that the teacher or the institution or anything is actually producing anything more. It's just that the perceived value.
It is, though. But that's the thing,
perceived.
Right?
It's perceived.
But that
it's perceived value.
Private healthcare and private schooling, it isn't perceived better. It's
but
statistically
for
better.
the point that you were making,
yes,
is that from the aspect. Fuck. Follow me on this, please.
I am.
It's not even that No, listen.
Adam,
listen.
Jesus
I'm trying to pull out the point that you literally yourself made.
It isn't. I told you it isn't the only reason.
I know it's not the only reason, but you said by and large for people, it is the prestige. It's getting it out of the plebeians. It's away from the common class. They're not as interested as all of the other value that I've mentioned at first. And so what I'm trying to say is that just like in that sector, the perceived value as a portion of the value that people are paying, just like when somebody walks into a stream and pays the money, That is why entertainers make so much money. It's an individual perceived value versus the actual value that can be measured.
Yeah, but you literally also told me just a minute ago that just because you're private doesn't mean you're getting better teachers, which statistically speaking, it is better education. And that's part of what you're paying for. I was just adding that it isn't the only thing that people are paying for it. So yeah, you get better teachers. You get to be away from the plebeians. It's statistically better in every aspect. That's what you're paying for. That's the value. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, when people are discussing this whole situation about why are people making millions of dollars, it's because it's in a private sector run by people that are paying, that have lots of money. And the stuff that they do, the realms that they operate in, are tons of money. Merchandise, content of any type, all that shit is worth lots of money because you have pretty much everyone in society taking part in this exact thing, and a lot of it. How much people are watching any type of content, and how many what an eyeball is worth, or eyeballs are worth to these companies is a shitload of money. If it was something that was in an industry where there isn't so much money on the line, then yeah, then your Tim the Tatmans and your Dr. Disrespects and your XQCs wouldn't be making $4 million a month because the people paying wouldn't perceive the value of that being the case. Like if you were to it's like, and we've talked about this before too, is that and the part of the perceived value of all of this industry. Where, and even for us, we've been in positions of this being the case, and maybe you'll disagree with me on this, I don't know. But in the concept of like a company coming to you, and it's usually a middleman working in marketing, working on an agency, or it's a person within the marketing department of a bigger company because they don't have to outsource it, and they come to you and they say, all right, look, this is our budget. And on their end, especially in marketing departments, they are given a budget and they're expected to spend all of it. Whether it actually generates the value back in return is secondary to spending the budget in its entirety. And so they could come to you and say, look, we want you to play this game. We want you to play New World for a day or two, and we're going to pay you $100,000 for it. There is no fucking universe in which they are going to incur or get back $100,000 of value 99% of the time for any streamer playing it for a single day. That just doesn't exist. Most of the deals that you and I have done, and when you negotiate for it because you know they have a budget that they have to spend, that's part of the weapons that you take to the table. You know they've got to burn through this money. So you go in and you say, we'll do it for this much. And you know damn well as a content creator, they're never going to make that money back, but it doesn't matter because they have to spend the money. So that's this industry specifically, the entertainment industry, has so much money, swimming in marketing money, that's where all of this fucking money comes from. Because Twitch as a company itself, when people look at these numbers, like we said, that's the smallest piece of the pie. If you knew all the shit they make from sponsorships,
from the big dogs, from the top
like the
dogs,
actual people that have money, because Twitch is broke. Twitch is literally broke. I doubt that they're even making money right now. I bet you they're in the fucking red. Because running a platform like this of video content is insanely expensive. And you've got millions and millions of people. Like, there are people streaming to people with one viewer. And it's for like 13 hours. And it's just one person watching. And it's generating $0, but it's sucking money out of the system. They're making like nothing. So all of this money that people see from Twitch is the smallest part for that reason. There's none there. But in the entertainment side, like the people that are like actually like the fucking big, the money's huge. That's why they get paid.
Twitch is making money, but they're just they're in some serious debt.
They're in debt. I don't know if they're running positive yet.
Well, they might not. They might not be, but they're going to. I mean, it's just all about gathering. You know, it's kind of like what Facebook or YouTube is doing, is they're gathering the talent, and you know, then they're going to monetize as they can as they build. And that's what Amazon is doing. I mean, you look at Amazon Prime and how they're intertwining all this. There's that leak shit about them coming out with the Steam competitor. You know, there's ways that they're going to end up, you know, coming out on top. The company isn't going to go bankrupt. You know, they are definitely going to be profitable, if not already. But you're right. I do agree with the sentiment. They are not swimming in money. In fact, these streamers, these top dogs, are making more money than what Twitch is, guaranteed. In terms of like ratio and what they're putting in versus what they're getting out. I mean, it's not even close. But Twitch will ultimately, you know, be laughing in the end, 100%.
Yeah, but so just to bring it home, like the concept of that, so in the public sector, where it's government expenditure, you're not talking about media conglomerates that are swimming in hundreds of billions of dollars, and there's a very defined budget, and that's the show. And so if you've got to spread that budget across a whole bunch of shit, then that's all the money that you're going to get. And so it's really, the discussion is really about where individuals like you and I as consumers, or consumers, place a lot of their value and a lot of their money. And we all know that we live in a consumer world, right? You know, we spend huge amounts of our money for the small amount of free time that we tend to have in the run of a day. That's where a lot of our expenses go towards, is buying shit. Whether it's the headphones on our head, the TVs on our walls, the shoes on our feet, the phone we rebuy every 365 days, whatever it is, that's where people have placed their value. That's where they think things are worth money. And so when, the discussion of why is Tim making this much money, the answer is there are hundreds of thousands of people that are willing to spend time with him that makes him worth that much money. It's not a question of, like you were saying, it's not a question of the brain surgeon or the teacher not being societally more important. It's just that sadly or not, society doesn't put as much value on a surgeon, a teacher, a nurse, a firefighter, as they do on the content that people create on a daily basis. If you ask people to give, you know, let's say what their budgetary expense for Netflix and a couple other things, Disney Plus and shit was, to their local fire station, they tell you to go fuck themselves. Like, because they don't see that that's worth that money. But if you say, all right, well, you know, this new streaming service is coming up and it's got an exclusive show that's going to hit your nostalgia bone, and yeah, they might not have very many other shows, but you want to at least see that, that's worth $20 a month for the next 6 months. Yeah, okay. But if you, but from a value point of view for most people, giving that same amount of money to something like a fire department, local fire department, is never going to fucking happen. It's just because of where people put their value. So don't get mad at the streamers for making the money.
Well, I mean, I pay firefighters and teachers shit tons of money. I'm taxed up the fucking walls. So I am doing that. And all these streamers that are making all this money, they are bringing value back to all of those sectors. So, you know,
I'm not talking from a tax point of view. We all know what your feelings are on tax,
well,
and that you'd like to live in Switzerland for the rest of your life.
I'm going to be honest. I'm not about to walk down to my old fucking high school and start handing out my teachers $1,000 checks because I appreciate what they're doing. It's just like
that's what I mean. Is that like the value is, you see that whatever you're getting, like, despite how little that they may or may not be, you know, getting paid, especially more in the U.S. than here. Our teachers get paid pretty decently here, but the value is placed in other places, and especially when you're paying tax, and you see a huge part of your money go away in taxes, and it goes to a bajillion different places.
Yeah,
and unfortunately not enough of it, because you don't get to choose where the tax money goes, that the government chooses where the tax money goes. You just know that you're losing 30 to 40% of it at the end of
50.
every year.
30, 40, 50.
Well, in your tax bracket, the vast majority of people aren't sitting in your tax bracket. Most people are sitting 30 to 40% in Canada, not 50.
And then they want to bitch that we're making a bunch of money, but they don't, you know, it's half of it's gone, like, straight up. So,
well,
you know,
40% of $100,000 or 50% of $500,000. It's like
a lot of money.
It is a lot of money either way, but proportionately, it's the same. It means the same. And after a certain point of a money that you're making, not to make this a totally different conversation, it's a totally different argument where you're talking about like how much extra money is left over between two people in two different tax brackets. It's not that they shouldn't. It's not that an argument about them shouldn't not having to make more money if they want to have more expendable income. But the discussion around 40% of 100 grand versus 50% of 500 grand is proportionately almost a non-starter because the money that's left over on 500 grand
is about like $20-30 million over 20 years at 8%, something only, but yeah, it's generational money, life, literally family tree money, like generationally.
Well, if you're already making that money, you're already made generational and family tree money anyway.
Not necessarily.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Once you've hit like a bracket where you can just like basically at will buy property and just have it and sit on it, you've already hit generational income off of that one?
Not necessarily.
Okay. All right. All right. So what is generational wealth on that the 8% difference in tax at the upper end? What is the generational wealth gap? Like where do you suddenly have generational wealth these days?
Everything is individual.
Oh, okay.
You can't paint everything with a brush.
Okay.
Like everybody's different. Everybody's lifestyle is different. Everybody's situation's different. It's individually. I can't count somebody else's money, but I know what I can do with an extra $100,000 a year or $30,000 a year. I know what I can do with it. But I don't know what everybody else is doing.
Fair enough. Well, let's get away from that topic for now, shall we? Let's continue some video game related news. EA is exploring the idea of renaming FIFA. I gave them some incredible names myself. Casino Royale, definitely not soccer. Ultimate Teams with a Z, $60 roster update 2022. The Lion, the Witch, and the Microtransactions. Pessi versus Pinaldo World Tour. Red Card District. Pitch Please. And go! Any ideas?
No idea.
I don't know. I don't know why they would change FIFA. Maybe they just don't want to pay the licensing fee for FIFA anymore. I suspect they do have to pay some sort of licensing fee for that name, but all the same. There you go. We'll find out if it ever happens. The last Smash Bros. Ultimate character goes to Sora from Kingdom Hearts, bringing about equal parts confusion and happiness and posing the question for the series, what the fuck happens now? Where does Smash Bros. Go from here? And just to give you an idea of like how difficult it would be to go from here, 89 fighters, 116 stages, 450 games, and 222 characters represented in this one game. 11.7 billion offline and 7.8 billion online battles have been played, with 2.2 billion hours in total played. Where the shit does Smash Brothers go from here? This is just one game. Sakurai needs to retire, for sure. I'm not sure if he's slept since this game came out, or if they've just been juicing him up on caffeine supplements for the last few years. But does Smash Brothers even get another game after this? Or do they just like kind of every few years they just re-release? You know, it's like Mario Kart 8 and then Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Like, do we just get like a Smash Brothers Ultimate Deluxe?
Dude, I'm so checked out of Smash Bros that like, I don't know, man. I'm happy for Smash Bros fans. I'm happy for Smash Bros fans because they can't bitch and complain and say that they ain't getting no love because they've got all kinds of content, probably too much content. Probably like one of those things where it's just like shit's broken. I don't know how you balance all this stuff, but sure. If there was never a Smash Bros thing ever created again, I wouldn't
Would it
even
matter?
notice. Yeah, to me, it wouldn't matter. But I'm sure this thing prints money. It has to if they're upgrading it the way they do or updating it. So I'm sure we'll see another one. Probably not for a while.
Yeah, I don't even know where the fuck they go from here. I like the problem is that they put so much into this one that if they come out with a new game, regardless, obviously Sakurai's not going to be the guy in charge of whatever new Smash Brothers were to come out, and if he was, then God, bless him. But what do you press the restart button on 89 fighters and fucking 116 stages and all this other shit? You'd be insane. And that's really all you could do from here. I feel is literally a reset of the whole franchise in a new fight. Like maybe there's a new engine for the fighting mechanics entirely. Like they got a whole different fucking set and they're like, okay, now we have to make a new one. But until then, I mean, I think this is just it. I mean, it's in the title. It's Smash Bros. Ultimate. I think we're sitting on this bad boy for a decade. I don't think it's going anywhere.
I hope so.
They're going to re-release that shit at least 1 or 2 times in that time span. And just let everyone that ever laid a finger on this fucking game sleep. For God's sake, let them sleep. Every one of these fighters, I mean, if you think about it, 89 fighters, animations for all of them, individual unique fighting styles for every one of those motherfuckers. An entire track list. Each one of them had their own, like, several different songs that were orchestrated and stuff for that character. A unique stage, basically, for every one of those characters. At least one, with, in many cases, multiple versions of that individual stage that, like, would change or whatnot as you do in Smash Brothers. Like, the sheer amount of work is mind-boggling to the point where I don't know what the number of sales are for this game. Like, how many Ultimate copies have been sold. But the amount of money and time that has been invested into this game, they have to be selling like, I mean, the attach rate has to be insane. I can't, like, nobody, this is making No Man's Sky look weak. And No Man's Sky has been fucking cranking shit out for, like, it's their life dependent on it. This has to be a huge number of fucking sales. But anyway, there you go. The last one goes to Sora from fucking Kingdom Hearts, which, by the way, I felt particularly stupid. They say that it was the most requested character. That might not surprise me all that much. Kingdom Hearts, despite being kind of a shit series, is very, 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 very popular. And Sora, it's just another fucking sword character, I guess. But I was weirded out that they didn't go with an actual Nintendo character. Like they didn't cap the whole thing off with like a Nintendo specific character. Instead, they pulled a Sony character out of Square Enix and put it in the
Well, they gave the fans
game.
what they wanted, right? So
yeah, I guess that's it.
If it's the most
If
requested
it really
sure.
was, then that makes sense as to why they did it. I just like I part of me just was sad for Nintendo characters that hadn't made it in yet.
They're all in there anyway, man.
Oh, there's 89 of them. There's several.
All the important ones are in there,
except for Waluigi. Waluigi is still not in this bitch. I would have taken Waluigi. I was still campaigning for Birdo to get in there as an actual character, but Sora it is, the 15th fucking sword-specific character. Sora won the Smash ballot that they first did. Okay, I don't remember when that was. I thought that was on, like, the 3DS or some shit. I don't know if it was, like, they opened that campaign everywhere, but either way, there you go. So Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is done. Everyone is sleeping now. Don't ask him for more characters. Don't ask them to produce anything for the game. Just let it die. Just fucking let that shit, let it die. Please, God. Next up, oh god, that's a bad segue, but a much respected Dragon Quest composer, Koichi Sugiyama, has passed away this week, at the age of 90.
Damn.
He got up there.
Lived a full life.
He lived a very full life. Pictures of him still doing, you know, his orchestral stuff live. When he was deep into his age. And although I guess that's a perk of doing that kind of line of work is that you can do that shit when you're fucking 84 years old. It's not, you know, you can take your time and kind of do your thing and it's not the end of the world. Yeah, I mean that's one of the heavy hitters. You know, the JRPG composers are kind of like the pantheon in video game composing. Obviously, there are others, but for whatever reason, the JRPG crowd seems to know their composers more than others. I don't know if that's because they get plastered on shit more frequently. Man, because if you try and think of the names of some of the others, you might be able to come up with a couple, like, maybe the one for Halo or the Mass Effect series or some shit, or like, so your Jack Walls and whatnot. But in general, yeah, it seems to be, it's like, maybe I'm projecting. Because just like for me, all I can think of is like, is all the JRPG fucking guys that did the music growing up. And really, honestly, if I'm being truthful, it's really only one. And that's the Final Fantasy's composer, Uematsu. That's like that's like the one name drop that you make. It's like, which composer is the composer for video games? And I would just say Uematsu like every single fucking time, because let's be real, who else are you gonna pick? Maybe this guy as well. I mean, Dragon Quest had some pretty dope music, not gonna lie. For those achievement hunters still among you, achievements are being added to the Epic Game Launcher next week. That was one of those things that people were, when the launcher first came out, they were like, how dare you not have achievements? We've had achievements since 2004 on like every fucking platform. How could you not have achievements? It's a bum launcher right out of the gate. Well, guess what? They finally have them. So for the 5 of you still achievement hunting, out there, like it's the Xbox 360 days and everyone's comparing gamer score, they've got them coming. Some of the selection of the games that you're going to have available to you are, where do I have that? Rocket League, Hades, and Pillars of Eternity. That's just a small selection. I think they have a little more than that. That's just what Nibel had on his list. And so I suspect, obviously, going forward, other games, other developers will have the option to place their achievements in there, much like they would have on Steam and whatnot. I mean, honestly, like personally, I remember like the 360 achievements. Everyone wanted the fucking gamer score, right? You were chasing down a fucking gamer score. You'd rent games specifically if they had an easy number of achievements to collect, just to boost your gamer score another few hundred points. And then after the 360 era went away, it's like achievements still existed, but it's like people just stopped fucking caring about them, or most people stopped caring about them altogether. And Steam always had them. I didn't even know Steam had achievements until like fucking 3 years into streaming. Like I noticed like pop up in the bottom of my screen. I was like, what the fuck is that shit? I was like, oh, Steam has achievements? All right, cool. And there's like a whole back end where you're unlocking stickers and shit on Steam. And I don't know what any of that shit is about, but there's like this whole ecosystem. And I didn't know that many people were actually still interested in getting achievements in games. I do know, like Mr. Grimm was saying, that, obviously for PlayStation stuff, people do like to brag about the trophies that, they're platinum trophies, where you get every achievement in any individual game, but just not talked about as much. But for those who are into it, there you go. You got more. Go play Rocket League until your eyes bleed and get some more achievements, I guess. Oh, Randy Pitchford, I skipped this one. The head of Gearbox and man most voted by employees to please stop saying shit on Twitter, you're killing us, is stepping down from Gearbox Software while remaining CEO and taking up a position in their TV and movie business side. Because as we know, they're doing a series or a movie on what's the game name? I had a nap before the stream and my brain is fucking fried. No, Borderlands.
Oh, Borderlands.
So, Borderlands. So, anyway, he wants to head up that, which means I guess maybe he wants to talk to Kevin Hart some more and annoy him. So, he's left his job at the video game side to go and pursue that. Still remaining CEO, but regardless, lots of people were kind of excited about the fact that he may not have as much involvement in the gaming side because, yeah, Randy's an interesting guy. that's all you can say about Randy. He's an interesting guy. He's kind of like Peter Molyneux. Remember Peter Molyneux back in the day, the Fable guy?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Where Peter would get out on stage with his smooth British accent, and he'd convince you that Fable was literally the second coming of Christ. All the stuff that was coming for Fable. Every time your character gets hit, there's a scar, and the scar stays there, and you age, and the gray hair, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, this is gonna be the greatest game ever!" And then Fable came out, and it was like, "Yeah, it's an okay game, but Peter, this is missing like 95% of the shit that you said it's gonna have." And then he came out for Fable 2 and said the same shit. "All right, guys, look, last time we couldn't quite get the scar thing, but this time it's totally in there, and it's gonna be amazing." Anyway, he's kind of like that, but instead of over-promising everything, he's just completely insane on Twitter. He's just one of those guys that needed to like have his Twitter privileges revoked a long time ago and just remain the head of the company instead. But he's out there, bless him. But just now he's out there annoying Kevin Hart instead, which is, maybe Kevin needs to be annoyed a little bit for what he's getting paid these days. Just get him a little annoyed. Stranger of Paradise. Here we go. You can watch this on your own, Jeff. I just clicked it there so that you can see the short clip if you want while we're talking about it here. Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin officially is coming March 18th. And it had a playable demo just launched here a few days ago. I think it was the 1st or 2nd of October. And now people are unsure what the fuck the game even is. If they weren't already confused about the chaos meme that came first, there's an entire area completely ripped straight out of Final Fantasy 13, including their music. And in one scene, the main character, it's just like, just some other characters talking to him, telling him the story of some origin thing, and he says, "Bullshit," and turns around and whips his phone out. He like takes out his iPhone and he starts playing like Limp Bizkit on his phone. He just walks off a frame. He just walks into the camera.
Yeah, what in the absolute fuck is this?
It's so bad. Like, what does that even do? Like, even if it's in there for a meme, it's when I looked at it, I mean, obviously there's Devil May Cry involvement for this game anyway, but I didn't know they were just gonna literally make Devil May Cry with like the really campy fucking fourth wall breaking bullshit. But there you go. So like, if you wanted some of that Devil May Cry all up in your Final Fantasy, boy, let me tell you, they've crammed it in there.
Have they ever?
I thought it was an edited video at first. I was like, there's literally no way that this motherfucker, like, I could see him pulling out the phone. I was like, okay, I follow you on that. But then when you start playing like fucking Limp Bizkit, on the phone, that was where I was like,
that's I don't know what they're going for there. That shit was confusing as fuck. I mean, low key, if this is what they're doing, this might actually work. This might actually work.
Is this like it's so meme that people buy because it's such a meme?
We need more of those games, honestly. Like we need a game that's like super self-aware. Like we need like the Deadpool of games. Like a game that literally.
Well, that's Devil May Cry and probably Yakuza are like the two.
We need something more. We need to go like literally into Deadpool stuff. Like not actual Deadpool, but a character that is just so self-aware that he's a character in a video game, and he's talking to you, the gamer, cussing you out when you're doing shitty, just the most random things like, where the fuck did this come from? Like, the developers here are cutting corners, like whatever, like this must have been in crunch. Did you know that we created this scene like 18 hours a day and there was a Reddit post about us and, just some crazy over the top, super self-aware game that was actually a good game, man. I
don't know where you go from hauling out an iPhone and listening to Limp Bizkit while you walk off of camera. That's like, why? Even within the context of the scene, just saying like bullshit and turning around and all of the things that he could have done, like including simply walking the fuck away, phone out and Limp Bizkit.
Yeah. Well,
Fuck it. What?
I'm interested.
Go for it. At this point, with that first trailer and the chaos memes, and the fact that he's dressed like he's an Abercrombie and Finch model, and now he's listening to Limp Bizkit walking off camera, maybe this is the game. Maybe this is game of the year. This is it. Like we've made it. Nomura's actually done so many drugs that he's come full circle and he's created like the new. He's like the next Tommy Wiseau.
Perfect.
The Room. Hi, doggy. Mr. Black, we have an answer, I think, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you looked at it, for Battlefield 2042. Have you watched any of the streams for this?
I have. Before you get into it, I just want to say, guys, I told you so.
I was pulling. I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be good. I think I always knew it was going to be doo-doo, but I wanted it so bad to be good.
That's all I have to say.
And it's just not there.
And I'm still sticking to it. This game's going to last 1 month tops.
Well, now it's a guarantee. I think now you can cash that check free. That check ain't going to bounce now. That check is locked in.
Yeah.
Because up until now, like there was some weird, far-flung, dark horse, all your money on green. some sort of wild bet that against all odds they were going to pull this back from the brink and have this window of time to bring Battlefield into the light once again. And I mean, notwithstanding the fact that the game itself, like the gameplay and whatnot, just looks
it's not good.
So bland.
Yes.
But it's so broken is what scares me. So this game was supposed to come out in like a couple weeks, and now it's got pushed into November.
Oh, yeah.
It needs more time than November. Like, a lot more time.
Oh, yeah.
Than November.
I actually think this game isn't going to come out until next year.
I agree. I think this gets pushed.
I think it's going to get pushed. I think what they're going to do to try and save face is like, yeah, we hear you. We understand.
We hear you, the classic line.
Yeah.
We heard you.
We heard you. And you know what? We can do better. And that's what we're going to do. So, we'll see you in, February of or
2024.
2022. 2024.
We're actually going to release it in 2042. We're just pushing it out. It's going to be the title, it'll work. I think we'll have enough time at that point. Dude, I was watching Shady play it.
Oh, it's bad.
Dude, she pressed the button to get on the elevator comes down. The door opens about 3/4, then it closes again before you can even get on, and you just walk directly, you just walk directly through the door, and then if you're on with other people, they just have this big red button that you press to go up. You press it, some characters will just clip directly through the floor of the fucking elevator, and sometimes it'll pretend like it's going up, but it doesn't actually go all the way up, and then you're just back on the floor again. And then other times you get up, but the doors will do the thing again where you have to clip through the door to walk out of it again. And once I saw that, I was like, this game...
No, it's over.
I know this is a beta, but bitch, this is a beta a month before it came out and 2 weeks before its original launch.
This ain't it. This ain't it.
No.
This ain't it. And how much does it cost, Adam?
Full price.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I said on my tweet after I watched Shady play it, I said, like, because it was the same analogy we used on the podcast. It needs to be not a home run,
grand slam.
A grand slam.
Yep.
And what they've got right now is they just slid into first.
Oh, and they almost got out.
And they slid, and they had to go back into the replay.
Yeah. They had to make sure.
And they had to make sure they made it.
Their knees are scratched the fuck. They barely made it. They had to go gadget arm an extra inch to get there before the ball hit first. This ain't it. This ain't it even a little bit.
They might have bunted.
Yep.
There's a chance that they bunted that shit just to try to get to first.
It ain't good. It ain't good, and it's full price. And I said this before. They have a horrible track record on their last couple of games. They're asking full price. There ain't no campaign. It's over. It's done. Where's the value? And now they got bad press. People are seeing this shit.
Oh, bro.
And you think that someone like me or you is going to run out and spend $80 on this fucking hot mess along with
no.
Dude, there's streamers. There's big streamers that are shitting on this game. Like, straight up playing it. This is
Well,
horse
that's
shit.
because I don't think they're paying anyone to play it. And
No.
so people are giving their free and honest opinions.
Oh, it's bad.
And it's bad.
It's really bad. And
You're putting your shit up against. There's been think about this. 3 of the biggest fucking first-person shooters, all with not demos, but all with betas, all coming out in more or less a month or 2 of one another. You've got Call of Duty Vanguard, Halo Infinite, and Battlefield 2042. The scariest thing is that the one game that everyone thought would be the worst, Halo, is actually doing the best out of all of them so far in terms of reactions to their betas, their flight tests. Everyone said this, and it's not, and the people that are talking about it aren't saying that it's just better. It's like they're saying it's a different league altogether. Now that doesn't mean that Call of Duty won't sell. We already know that by default Call of Duty is going to outsell everything. It doesn't matter. But like in terms of the quality of the game, Halo's massacring Vanguard in 2042. And, you know, I wanted to believe for 2 reasons. One, I need something other than Call of Duty to be on the fucking market. Fuck, please. And not be bad. And Battlefield's really the only other property that has the name weight, or had the name weight, to be able to go and do that thing.
Or Halo.
And so, or Halo, but Halo, I think going into this, was as limp. They were limping in about as. I mean, they delayed this shit a full year. I mean, that was an underdog situation. And so I needed it. I needed something other than Call of Duty. And I also thought to myself, for the reasons that you mentioned, it's like bad track record for the last 2 games, and they're charging full price with no campaign. All of those things point you to one thing. You have to hit a home run. You have to have a lot of confidence. Grand slam.
There you go.
Grand slam. In fact, the pitcher himself has to come out and hit the grand slam.
Yeah, the pitcher's got to do it.
It's not juiced up fucking 90s baseball, home run specialist coming out. This isn't
not Barry Bonds coming out here and
saying,
hey.
Bonds.
That's where it's going.
This ain't Mark McGuire.
Yeah.
Getting up to the plate. This is your pitcher showing up and hitting a fucking grand slam. And so I had to believe with all those factors, I was like, there's so much confidence. It has to end up being good. And I watched like 10 minutes of it, and I knew immediately that it was dead in the water. Dead on arrival. There is no fucking way. The only way that it somehow doesn't cave is that the map that they chose, the bugs notwithstanding, so ignoring the bugs, which are bad, and a lot, and apparently worse on consoles than PC. Ignoring that stuff, just from a gameplay perspective, unless the other map, which is the one that we see in trailers, and not the map that they put into this beta, which was another weird fucking choice that they made. Unless that is so much better and engaging than the map that they put on there, oh, this game is so fucked.
This game is fucked.
It's so dead.
Yep.
No amount of the amazing community tools that they're handing out are gonna save this shit. It would be a miracle.
Needs to go free to play to even have a 2-month life.
Immediately.
Yeah. Yep.
Like not in 6 months. Like
that ain't gonna happen.
They need to switch that shit out the gate and start coming up with battle passes and other shit for launch. Because not a fucking chance. So unfortunate, but there you go. Against all odds, Halo seems to be the front runner for this season in terms of quality. And we already know, again, Call of Duty. It's going to sell 15 million copies of Vanguard without breaking a sweat.
Yep.
But in terms of actual quality of game, Halo, currently, against all odds, front runner. Some people started playing a bit of the, they were given a little preview build of the campaign for Halo as well, and very positive responses from the campaign. So the multiplayer and campaign both currently getting a lot of shine on. So maybe this is it. Maybe it's Halo's pitcher that's coming up, and Halo's pitcher is about to hit a grand slam.
I think what's going to happen is Call of Duty is going to sell a shit ton of games.
Yep.
There's going to be a bunch of people that are going to play Halo.
Yep.
And then they're just going to wean back over to Call of Duty. And Halo will do reasonably well because it's a competent game. And I think people are realizing that, you know what? Even old Halo but better
is good.
That's about it.
Yep.
It ain't. The more I've seen of this Halo, and it looks more of like Halo of old, which is good. I think that's as far as she goes for Halo. And there's always going to be a Halo community. There's always going to be people that are going to play Halo and champion Halo over all other shooters. But I don't think it's going to be as mainstream as Call of Duty, obviously. But I just don't think Halo is even going to do as well as what people are hoping it's going to do. But I think it's going to do well enough for it to exist and for people to enjoy it, have some cool events, and maybe even get another iteration of Halo in whatever. We'll see. But I think that's about as far as it's going. I don't think Halo's going to get a grand. I think right now Halo's pitcher is at the plate, and we all know that pitcher is not going to hit the grand slam, but the pitcher is looking promising, and all he needs to do is get a base hit to bring someone home to win the game. And we're very, very confident at this point that the game is going to be won for Halo, but it isn't going to be like this.
It's not going to be a decisive victory.
Yeah,
they're going to walk one in.
Exactly. They're gonna get one home. They're gonna say, okay, we live to fight another day. We're still in the tournament. We're still in the fight. But let's be real, the other team's got LeBron, so it is what it is.
Yeah, it's man, I'm so intrigued with how Halo's going to play out because it's free to play. Like, that's the real wild card in the Halo situation.
Yeah,
is that it's free to play the first time ever.
Yeah,
that's going to be such a wild thing to track and see how many new people will be introduced and stick around because it's free.
It will be a lot.
Yeah, that's going to be.
It's just going to be hard for them to stick around because the same ones that are going to try out Halo are already on the COD dick, and that's the biggest problem. And most people that are on the COD dick, yourself included, don't even want to be on the COD dick. But you're going to realize while you're on the Halo dick for a little while that you're still kind of missing a little bit of COD dick, and you're just like, I don't know why I do this to myself, but the dick isn't even good. It's just dick I'm used to.
Stockholm syndrome, Mr. Black.
That's pretty much what I was gonna say. That's pretty much what Call of Duty is. It's pretty much
Stockholm syndrome, the video game.
You're gonna go back and you're gonna get on that COD dick again. You're gonna be like, you know what, this dick isn't all that bad. And then you're gonna ride it for a week, and you're gonna be like, this dick sucks. This dick sucks,
dude. That's why I need a battle, because I know Halo is different enough of an experience, right? That they're hard. You can't compare Halo to COD because the style of game is so different. Yeah. So like, Halo was its own thing. That's why I needed 2042 to just not be dog shit. And son of a bitch, they went and fucked it.
Oh, it looks bad. It looks real fucking bad. So
they went and fucked the whole thing.
It don't look good.
Please.
It doesn't even, the shooting and everything just doesn't even look like it's fun to play. It just doesn't look like a good time. So
fuck.
Godspeed, Battlefield. Godspeed.
Mr. Black, it's time for us to suck somebody else's dick. Mainly the sponsors.
Oh, well, they ain't paying me enough to do that. So what I'll do instead is
we'd be higher up the list.
Exactly. I'm 401. All right. I don't know where you're at, but I'm 401. I ain't grandmasters. All right.
I might be 4001.
There you go. Well, either way, I'm willing to give some good compliments. All right. We haven't gotten that far yet. So listen, NordVPN, head on over there right now. NordVPN.com/OTT. Use the promo code OTT. Okay. Get yourself 73% off and 4 bonus months for free when you get a 2-year subscription. So head on over there, get it, stay safe, stay anonymous on the internet, watch different regions of Netflix. If only Twitch had NordVPN hooked up, maybe none of this would have happened. But it is what it is. So go on over there, support the podcast, support the sponsor. We also got Elgato. I got my face cam, and I also got my wave panels. They got here.
Oh, nice.
I got 2 sets of wave panels, so I'm going to put them all up here on the sides. and I'll take some photos and stuff. I'll be honest, it's not that I like super need them in this room, just because I think I have this dialed in, but it most certainly isn't gonna hurt because there definitely is echo in this room.
If you get some on that door,
it'd be nice.
That'll make a pretty substantial difference at head height. The problem in your room is that it's like if you asked a child to draw an octagon, that's what your room ends up looking like. That's literally, your room is such a weird fucking shape that like where you would want to put panels,
you just can't put them.
Like, there's nowhere to put them.
Yeah.
So basically like your closet door and your back door, that's like 90% of where you can put it.
Right here to my right. And
you got a little space?
I got a little space there. So I'm going to put all that up and I'll let you guys, I'll show you guys that. But yeah, head on over to Elgato, go grab the face cam. All right. See the Logitech C920. It's been trumped finally. Now it's on Logitech to come out with their next iteration of the webcam, unless they're just happy being second tier now in terms of quality. They can go ahead and do that. But the face cam at the price point is where you need to be at this point. So head on over to Elgato. You all got to pick one up, and that's it. Patreon.com. We need money too. All right, because Adam apparently is 5,219 and I'm 401.
Coincidentally, 5,219 is the amount of dollars I made on Twitch last year.
There you go. So patreon.com/legtv. Head on over there. Let's get Adam up to top 4,000.
Let's crack the five. No, let's start with 5. Let's crack the top 5,000. Let's crack the top
5,000. All right.
Yeah. Well,
and then let's just get me over 400 because I'm going to be honest. The difference between numbers now where I'm at, the gap.
It's a gap.
There's gaps. All right. Yeah. And they're not $1,000 gaps. All right. These are,
as Drake said, this ain't a closable gap.
No, this ain't it. So head on over to patreon.com/legtv and support the podcast if you guys want to, right? If you guys think we hold the economic value, head on over there and throw.
If you value us more than your teachers and firefighters, as you should, patreon.com/lagtv. I have to say, I just realized that your OG jacket is back up there instead of your NFT worthy art piece.
I'm on the Daily Legends Challenge tomorrow. I'm up against Jamie Staples again, and we are going for another piece of painting. So there's going to be a bet. Whoever loses is going to have to pay $500 for the other person to get a painting of their choice. So it's going to be a big one tomorrow.
Dude, there has to be a crypto crossover with the gambling community. You have to turn that shit into an NFT. I swear to God.
I'll make $1 bajillion.
You'll make the $500 back.
Oh, 100%.
On some of the NFT.
100%.
You'll also burn down 1/4 of the Amazon rainforest to generate the Ethereum to actually have the sale happen, but you'll make your $500 back. So
I need it.
Brazil's burning the shit down anyway. The government's already torching it, so you might as well get your Ethereum in. Why not? Get it in there.
Yeah.
Who needs trees? Whoever needed a tree?
I only need carbon dioxide, really.
That's right.
That's all I need.
Carbon dioxide base. I talk so much, I'm probably generating most of the carbon dioxide this side of the fucking eastern seaboard. It's time to talk about movies and TV. Mr. Black, give me a jingle real quick.
Movies and TV.
William Shatner, old Bill Shatner, at 90 years old, has chosen Blue Origin as his method of getting into space so that he can feel like he's come full circle and entered the space in which made him what he is today. Truly Star Trekking, even though technically Blue Origin doesn't quite get into space, but it's close enough for Bill Shatner at 90 years of age. And so he is going up. I don't remember what the date is, but he's going up there. Hopefully he doesn't die en route. That would be unfortunate.
I think they'll be okay.
Hopefully the G-force doesn't stop the man's heart on the way up at 90 years old. But shit, he probably wouldn't care. He'd probably think that was hilarious if he went out on the way up. He would have thought that would be comedically huge amounts of value. Dude, Bill Shatner, I know he's had some plastic surgery done to keep the face nice and taut for 90 years of age. But that dude, he's like Betty White. Like they're in their 90s, but somehow they have more energy than I do. What is their secret? Are they really eating fetuses, Jeff? Is that the secret? Are they drinking the blood of the youth?
I would say it's money. being able to buy virtually anything and everything you need to make your life as stress-free as humanly possible. Trainers, proper chefs and food, you know, this is, I would imagine.
That definitely helped.
Yes, a great deal.
Yeah, I'd probably have more hair if I had more money.
No, I mean, isn't that what you're supposed to do when you make a lot of money?
Keep your hair?
No, like, well, I mean, yeah, I mean, if you wanted to,
most of the men in Hollywood, that's the
right.
first thing that it goes into is keeping their hair.
I mean, listen, say Adam, say you were making I don't know, $1 million a year. All your shit is paid for.
I might be able to afford a house in Halifax.
You can afford one with much less than that, but yet. But say you made $1 million a year, right?
Yes.
I mean, once you get all your shit taken care of, you know, most people, I would imagine, or at least what I would love to do, is take care of your health in it, like just about every possible way, where to the point where you don't care how much money it costs. So it's like the best food, yes. The best training, yes.
Yes.
The best bed, yes. The best clothes, yes. The best doctors, yes. The best hair transplant replacement or whatever,
yes.
Yes. The best, you know, teeth construction, yes. The best eye stuff, yes. Literally, yes.
All of that.
All of it. And then you're just, you know, suddenly your energy and your everything just, I would imagine, would improve. I don't know. I would think.
It's true.
It would just make, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm
you know, the
talking
whole
my ass,
saying
but
like money, you know, money doesn't give you happiness is only true to an extent. I think they did a study for like how much, like where the threshold is, and it's not as much as people think, but it's still a thing.
Yeah.
Like there's still a number.
Yeah.
That once you hit it, I think it was, and the study was several years ago, so it would be more money now than it was then. But I think it was something like 400,000 a year, I think, or something like that. Oh no, not 400,000 a year. Sorry, no, it was less than that. It was like 200 and something thousand a year. It's probably closer to 300,000 a year now that it's been several years. But it was somewhere around that. You hit that number for household income, and you're not balling out of control. But at that level, it's like you have the money to take vacations, do what you want. You know, you're not flying yourself to space like Mr. Bill Shatner, but you can also do damn near anything that you want with that money and not wake up and go, shit, I needed money for something else. You just got it now. Your housing is taken care of, your car is taken care of, your vacations and shit.
Yeah, because I mean, listen, if you're making $300,000 a year, if you made $400,000 a year, I wouldn't imagine that $100,000 difference is.
It's not going to move the needle all that much, right?
It's not going to move the needle probably on your happiness, right?
No.
You might be able to generate more money and be more rich or wealthy or whatever. But I don't know.
From a comfort perspective, it doesn't move the needle all that much, or a happiness perspective.
And what probably from 400,000 to $1 million, it probably doesn't change much either. You might be able to just like indulge a little bit more on, certain
That's
things,
basically it. It's like the level of indulgence. And then I think and then there's like barrier where you cross where then the whole managing your money becomes a point of stress, and where you get so much money that the management of it becomes a point of stress. I'll take that.
That seems like a good problem to have.
And then it's not the worst problem to have.
Give me that problem.
It's not the worst problem to have, but like another problem that some people have, like they talked about in the study, was things like social relationships, where people started to have a hard time distinguishing between people who were being friendly with them because they're friends and people being friendly with them because they have money.
That's true.
Things like that. So there was like this magic fucking zone that they dialed in, where it's like, for most people on the planet that don't want to, backfill the water in Dubai somewhere to live on a piece of a fucking palm leaf until it sinks back into the ocean. You know, unless you're that person.
Yeah.
There was like this special like little band of money.
I would imagine if you're William Shatner and you're just in a fucking, I'm sure he has bad days and he's, you know, probably, you know, but
he's also a relatively like jovial guy, right?
Yeah,
and the same with Betty
like
White.
Yeah. They
Like
both are out kind of
like their outlook on life.
Yeah.
They're kind of like they're the kind of people where everything like probably rolls off their back. They don't give a fuck.
Like free spirits, you know?
Yeah,
Just like
whatever. Which they just live longer anyway.
Yeah, well, that's why they're in their 90s.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I also believe they're super rich, so they're
That
able
too.
to you know
Absolutely.
obviously have.
But you know what? Good on them. They're both still working. They're in their 90s, but and I think that's also why they're still, you know,
well, they'd be
there.
dead if they weren't working. They'd be like, "What do you live for?"
You know, they're still out there. You know, they're not working like crazy schedules. But even, I mean, I shouldn't say that. Betty White like a couple of years ago, had a fucking like.
Yeah.
It didn't even make sense that she had the ability to do it, but she did. Yeah. But yeah, either way,
William Shatner. Good
and
luck
of course, the
to
first
space.
thing he did in the interview with who interviewed him? Fucking Anderson Cooper, was joke about the rocket looking like a giant penis,
Awesome.
and inseminating space, which is exactly where he went with that, as you would expect Bill Shatner to do. So there you go. We'll wait and see. I will, if you can watch that live, I will 100%
for sure.
watch Bill Shatner launch himself into space on a penis rocket, without question.
Yep.
The most packed halftime show list I've ever seen, Mr. Black, is coming up this season. Have you seen this list?
I have.
Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, and Kendrick Lamar will be performing somehow all at the same show. I don't even know how you work that many people into a single fucking show without like somebody just taking like 3 lines. You're like, all right, well, Mary J., you got 4 bars. Have fun. It's like, you get like, how do you work in that many people? And some like, you know, some of these people have pretty big egos. So like, I'm trying to think of like how this all fucking works together. But
yeah, it'll be Eminem. It'll probably be Eminem, Dr. Dre doing their
Kendrick
thing.
doing the most of it.
I think Eminem's gonna be the big part.
Yeah.
Alongside Dr. Dre, kind of with him. And then Snoop Dogg will have a little part. Mary J will probably sing, you know, a chorus, and then Kendrick Lamar will probably have. Kendrick Lamar might open. Who knows? We'll see.
What's the over under on at least them sampling Still Dre?
Oh yeah, I think that'll happen.
Is that like is that 100%?
Yeah.
Is that how they started? I feel like they open it with that. They open it with like ding 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 ding.
It's possible.
That's just one of the most iconic fucking beats in all of fucking rap history. Even if you don't know rap, if you hear that, you might not know what it is, but you will recognize that shit. It's like the Mario theme of 1-1. It's like, you just know that shit. It's like a cultural fucking thing. It's been everywhere. But that's a dope lineup.
It is.
If they pull the balance right, I mean, holy shit, that's a fire lineup.
Yep.
For sure. So that will be good. Hopefully it does turn out well. Or hopefully, more specifically, they get the audio right, because I feel like you've got a 50-50 shot of the audio being terrible at the halftime show. Who was it? When Adam Levine did it or whatever,
Levine, yeah.
And it was like you couldn't hear a fucking word coming out, which might have actually made it better, but at the same time, you know, I don't think that's what they were going for with Adam Levine. All I remember watching that show.
Wasn't a huge fan of that halftime show.
No, it was Adam Levine taking his shirt off, and I was like, bro, put that shit away. We don't like. Why do I feel like he's gonna be that guy that's like 60 years old, still trying to act like he's 24? Why do I feel like he's still like Adam Levine is still gonna be shirtless at 60?
Why not? I mean, he looks good. I mean, he looks good for his age. He's out there doing what he needs to do. So, you know, I'm not hating, but it ain't my cup of tea. Money. There you go. That's what money can do.
Next up, Disney and Scarlett Johansson have settled out of court, which is great for her, but unfortunate for everyone else, since that's not going to set any kind of real precedent other than the fact that Disney is willing to settle.
Well, the Disney came out and said that they're making changes to their all their future contracts now. So it is setting a precedent.
Okay, just not legally, but within Disney it is.
Yeah. So, you know, if people are doing movies and whatnot, there will be stipulations in there if they don't do just a theatrical release, and they do both. et cetera, et cetera. So, and apparently it cost them, rumor is it cost them $40 million to settle. So,
Damn. What was
that's
the amount that she was owed in contract? Do we know?
well, she already made 20. Here's the thing is she was paid, $20 million to make the movie, but
Yeah.
then you get back end, pay depending on
Right.
box office sales.
Of which there were none.
Well, there was box office sales, but what she could have made was far
the
less
streaming
because
stuff.
they did streaming alongside it, and she didn't get any of the points on the streaming side. When by contract they specifically said that it will be an exclusive theatrical release, which broke their contract. So all Scarlett Johansson wanted was some sort of compensation. Now, her and her lawyers and her agent
40 million is
reached
some
out.
sort of compensation.
Well, apparently it was way less, and rumor was they wanted $20 million. But then Disney ignored them, said no, came out with a statement: "You made $20 million. This is COVID. Well, you ain't helping us out here." And then she said, "Okay, well, I'm going to fucking sue you." And then just before it was being approved for the courts, which would have made all of the files and stuff public, Disney decided to settle, which ultimately cost them up to an extra $20 million for their fuck up. And they also came out and said that they're doing several projects with Scarlett Johansson moving forward. So, she probably locked in some really sweet deals on the Tower of Terror movie that she's doing for Disney, along with probably more Marvel, cameos or something, even though her character is supposed to be dead, but obviously it's Marvel. So, we'll see when that happens. So yeah, W for Scarlett Johansson and an L for Disney.
It's a fat dub. It's a
Yep.
very fat dub. The next, there you go. Rewrite the contract so you don't have to have that fucking thing happen again. Squid Game is taking over the world right now, Mr. Black. And is apparently on track to be Netflix's most watched show ever.
Yep.
Have you watched it yet?
I have not. Kale and I are gonna watch it soon. We've got one episode left, the Sex Education, which we'll probably finish tonight. And we binged the Midnight Mass. So
I saw everything, but I think the last episode or two of Midnight Mass. So what were your thoughts on Midnight Mass without spoiling people at all,
I
I
won't
guess?
spoil anything. I really enjoyed it a lot. Episodes 5, 6, and 7 just ramp up completely. Like the last episode is pretty fucking awesome. The last 2 episodes really it gets really good. And the thing is, it's a slow burn show. And there are things that sort of that happen that you see coming, and then some that you don't see coming. And ultimately, I think it was a really good Netflix series for horror. And obviously he's done the House on Haunting, the
Haunting of Hill House.
Hill House, yes.
Yeah.
So he does horror really well.
You get the same actors and actresses in there,
Yep.
and
He uses the same people quite often. And this one was a little bit different. I enjoyed it a lot. I enjoy the slower burns. I enjoy the long dialogue between characters where scenes are literally like 5 minutes, 10 minutes of just 2 characters just talking. And especially how when it all kind of comes together, you realize that like certain things that were said and done, they have certain meanings, and it was really well done. In terms of like, if I had to give it a rating out of 10, I'm probably pushing 8.5 or 9. I would have liked there to be a little bit more horror elements throughout the entire series, opposed to just the last 2 episodes. There was a couple, sprinkled in, and when I say horror, I mean your traditional horror.
yeah.
But it's more of
It's closer to a mystery thriller than a horror.
mystery thriller, religious type thing, which is kind of creepy in its own right. But I enjoyed it. I really, really liked it a lot. I really did. One of the better shows I've seen this year.
Yeah, I haven't seen the rest of it, but I've seen the majority of it, and I'm sure they're gonna throw a twist at the end at me or some shit.
You haven't seen the best of it. The last 2 episodes are really. The last one, it's high octane. Like it's good.
So, I enjoyed it as well. Unlike you, I like the slow burns. I like that, because I'm often able to see a lot of shit coming in a lot of the movies and shows that I watch. This guy is one of the few directors that still occasionally gets me in terms of like, I think I know what's coming and I only get 80% of it instead of 100% of it.
That's what'll happen this time too.
Yeah, and that's happened already in the show. Like there were 1 or 2 scenes where I thought that I saw where he was taking it and I only was partially right, which is nice because it sucks when... It's not that I'm like some sort of fucking big brain 500 IQ genius. It's just that shows and movies are so formulaic now, you just fucking know where they're going, and that sucks some of the fun out of it, especially if you're going to have something that's supposed to be a thriller or a mystery. Like the whole point of a thriller mystery is to not fucking know where it's going. So that's what, I got a lot of enjoyment out of it from that regard, or that perspective. I love the actors and actresses that he brought back. I'm happy he keeps doing it because they're very good.
The priest is so good.
Yeah, they filled the roles
so good.
Everyone's done a very good job in the show. And like the only thing that I could say is that even though there are twists, a lot of the stuff is a little too ham-fisted for me. Like a lot of the foreshadowing, I think you might have been alluding to, some of the foreshadowing is really, really painfully fucking obvious. Like the only way to make it more obvious would be when they're dropping the line, they stared directly into the camera and said, "This is going to happen."
But
and
I think that's done purposely.
Oh, it is so that he can kind of subvert that shit.
There's a lot, there's I don't want to say too much, but like people are believing certain things because of scripture, and they're taking things very literal, and especially
it could be another device.
I can't, I don't want to spoil anything, but and there is one thing in particular. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but there is one character in particular, that completely took me out of the show every time I saw this character, and not for a good reason. Right? I was like, oh man, I don't know if they did makeup not right or if they just cast. It was more of they just cast the wrong person for this. I don't know why they got this person to take this role because this is awful.
Is it a guy or a girl?
It's a girl. And,
I think I know who you're talking about.
And without me saying anything,
I
was punched in the face because I was like, oh, okay, that's why. Oh,
no, I've made it that far. I made it that far. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. And when in the first episode, I turned to M and I said, that doesn't look right. Yeah. I think I know that is going to be something, and we can't spoil anything here, but I was like, that doesn't look right. Yeah. And that's exactly what happened. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about too.
And you'll see how all towards the end, you're like,
I can't remember if it's 1 or 2 episodes.
Yeah, like left. You'll even you may know what's going on right now, but like a lot of
I'm sure there will still be some crazy shit.
Yeah.
Towards the end. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. It's good. I thought it was a relatively clever, this isn't spoiling anything, but I thought it was a relatively clever use of and partial. I mean, the grand themes of this show, if you ignore the thriller aspect and all that shit, is that it's like a bit of a look into the various ways in which people view and practice spirituality in several different ways, whether you're an atheist or you're Muslim or you're a Christian, and then on each one of those, although the Christianity portion is most represented here, the gradient, the scale in which you can exist on those lines, and how each of those people at those different spots interpret what they're told and what they read, and a lot of the show's mechanics are based in or rooted in the literal, if you were to read some of the parts of the Bible and take it literally, you can draw parallels to more traditional horror stuff.
Yeah.
That was kind of a clever,
Yeah.
Thing.
Yeah.
Especially when you read them, especially when the characters say them,
Oh,
because for people at
the villain
home,
character is so good.
Yeah.
She is so good.
The people at home, especially if you've never read the Bible, and they start using scripture, and with the zero context of that like verse that they'll quote, and it's taken literally for the point of the show to like drive to get characters to do things and whatnot. It sounds absolutely fucking insane. It's insane. So they do a really good job of that, and it was a very unique kind of a bend on it, and I look forward to seeing the last couple episodes.
Enjoy.
It might even only be one more episode, but yeah, I look forward to it. And like you said, the priest did a phenomenal job, but I don't think there's really much of a weak character.
It's all good
in the show.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good time. I enjoyed it.
It was all good. Squid Game, I think you'll enjoy as well.
Yeah.
Man, even for probably you and I and other people now where we're desensitized to a lot of shit, even then, Squid Game I think will get you a couple times.
All right, we'll see.
Get you. Again, another really well done show. Highlighting again a lot of talent in Korea in their media, like their television and movies. There's a shitload of Korean talent, and Netflix, especially outside of Korea, Netflix has been an amazing vehicle to get these guys and girls a platform outside of their home country. I think of Train to Busan as well was a Netflix darling outside of its home of Korea, to the point where now, like everything else, the North Americans feel like they can do a better job and are going to redo it in English like a bunch of fucking assholes. But it shows just how much talent. It's not just in our North American and European bubble, but there are other markets that do a really good job, and thankfully, things like this are coming up. So, yeah, Squid Game, going to be the most watched, which is insane. I would never have thought, but at the same time, I kind of get why it would be, because there is so much shock value in it. Yeah, definitely another good one. And that we already talked about Midnight Mass. That was my last one. And that's all I've got, unless you had some other news. No. I think Bond is getting ready to launch if it isn't already in theaters.
Yep. Venom comes out today, I think, and Bond or Venom might even already be out. I think Venom's actually already out. It's made a shit ton of money.
What's the early reviews looking like for Bond? Are we in the green?
Yeah? Oh yeah. It's supposed to be pretty good.
Because you'd hate to see it go out on like a mediocre fucking
like
note or some shit.
82% on Rotten Tomatoes, and that's,
for a Bond movie, that's pretty good.
Yeah, and that's critics, right? So
I'm sure the audience score will be higher.
87 right now, yeah. So
that's impressive. Normally, there's a bigger gap between the two, but if they're both coming in together, that's a pretty good. I actually prefer when it's closer, because then it means that not only is it a pretty good movie, but the audience isn't just like pure nostalgia memeing for it or some shit, or it's not just critics going after Oscar bait, but there's like an actual good movie hiding in there when the scores are that close. So yeah, I look forward to catching that at some point as well. And I think Venom's been doing pretty okay too. I think it got a couple of early. Did it get some early reviews? Yeah, it's been doing pretty good.
It's doing well.
So there you go. Awesome. Lots of good movies coming up. And I keep getting reminded, I think they had another like retrospective-y, not trailer for Matrix 4, but a retrospective-y type deal where they were talking to the actors about the Matrix series and all that shit. And so I'm just, got my my latest marketing plug for Matrix 4 in my brain, and just remembering that it's coming. And hopefully that also doesn't bomb. That would be highly unfortunate. What do you actually know? I'll ask that before we hop into tech support. Do you think the Matrix 4 is going to bomb, or do you think it's going to be a good movie? And I don't mean in terms of dollars. I mean, do you think it's actually going to be a good movie, or do you think it's going to be just mediocre?
I think it'll be mediocre.
I get this nagging feeling in my chest that it's going to make a lot of money because it's the Matrix, but it's going to be a very mediocre experience. And not that it's the same people making it, but I get the same feeling about it as I do about the next John Wick movie.
Yeah.
It feels like it's going in that direction.
It's just being made for the wrong reasons, I think, and thus I think it'll be serviceable, but I think at the end of it we'll go, we didn't need that. We didn't need it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we'll see.
It's time for
Tech support.
Do a couple of questions. We're at the 2-hour mark. Patreon.com/LikeTV. $10 or more a month gets you a couple perks. Chiefly, you get in on this sweet, sweet action where you get to ask us questions, and we give you some answers. Dan Jim the Dragonfly, top 3. Oh, we're moving up through the consoles, but this time we've sidestepped a bit. Top 3 arcade games. Cruisin'.
Ooh.
Take your pick of whichever one you want. Cruisin' USA, whatever fucking one you want. I know you said this is a Genesis game, but last week, but Golden Axe for sure for me.
I'm gonna go Turtles in Time.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Battletoads, and I'm gonna go with The Simpsons.
Ooh,
arcade game.
The hit and run or the side scroller?
They're side scroller.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Cruisin', whichever one was your flavor, because there's lots of flavors of Cruisin'. Time Crisis. Dance Dance Revolution.
Ooh, DDR. Oh yeah, that'll be my honorable mention for sure.
Yeah, I think I'll go with those 3. Those are like, if I had an arcade, it would feel empty if those 3 were not in there somewhere. Like those, House of the Dead or Time Crisis, which I mean, they're more or less the same kind of deal. But yeah, one of those 2, and then yeah, Cruisin'. Because you're also not in an arcade unless you're hearing somebody double tap the gas and trying to put their foot through the fucking machine to do it every time. Yeah. So here you go. Super Kami Guru asked, "What's the craziest thing you saw when you were working a normal job?" You worked the service industry. You had to see some shit.
Yeah. Craziest thing I've seen.
How many coworkers were fucking in the bathroom?
I don't think I've ever seen.
Or did they keep that to outside of work?
Yeah, that's usually outside of work. Craziest thing. I mean, I've seen somebody like almost die, like choke on food, and just like had to get the Heimlich maneuver, and
was it a bone or something?
Everything. Yeah, chicken bone.
Yikes.
Yeah. Almost died, an older lady, and one of the servers that worked there just kind of jumped to aid and broke her ribs, but saved her life. She was literally like fucking purple. And everybody was screaming, like yelling, like people didn't know what was going on.
People
that she was with, it was like, do something. And everyone was like, ah! and he's just like, and she was an older woman too. Like she probably
that's why her ribs would have broke.
Yeah, I would say she was probably in her late 60s, in her 70s, like right around there. Like she wasn't like super, super old, but she was not young. And and at first he wasn't going hard, but it wasn't doing anything, right? And then everybody just started panicking. It's like, do something. And he just gave her, and then it right out of her mouth. And then, ambulance came and pretty much saved her life. Like, or
there's one for the resume.
Yeah. So that happened.
I don't think I ever saw anything like that in the corporate environment. Nobody's choking on chicken bones in the corporate environment. I never, there was nothing really particularly crazy that ever truly happened. Just dumbfounding shit. I mean, like my marketing manager going to the weekly meeting every week and regardless of the fact that it was the owners that were changing the marketing, the print ads and everything in the 11th hour, from what the marketing manager had selected and what the marketing team had put together. She still got blamed that sales went down. So even though it wasn't her putting the fucking shit out, they'd still blame everything on her. And they had already replaced that position like twice in the last couple of years for the exact same reason. People were just quitting. And sure enough, after, 6 months or so, I remember she just came back one day. Every Monday she'd come back crying. She'd go to her office crying every single Monday. And this was actually like a headhunted marketing manager from Vancouver. Like they brought her in from across the country from an already successful position to help, bolster, and then they didn't let her do her job. So she just broke eventually and was like crying at like the fucking every single Monday. And then one day she came back and she wasn't crying. And I was like, that's a little weird. And I was like, I don't know if that's good or bad, but she looked like she was just, dead in the eyes kind of deal, like the dead face. Went into her office, closed her door, which was always open the whole time that she was ever there. Closed the door, stayed there for 3 hours, closed the blinds and everything. Was just in there in her shell for 3 hours, and then came out 3 hours later with a box in her hand and said, "I'm gonna go now. Have fun." She didn't tell anyone else. She just left the building and never came back the next. Geez. She didn't put. There was no 2-week notice. There was no anything like that. She just said, "That's enough of that for me. I'm gone." Yep.
See ya.
And so, I mean, nothing crazy, but that was just one of those things that's just like unreal to see. No 2-week notice, no anything. Marketing manager, so management level at the company, and just walk out the door with her box and just nobody didn't tell anyone. She just came out, she said, she would talk to the marketing team, she said, "You've all been amazing to work with, and I'm sorry it had to go this way, but I'm the fuck out of here." And she just left. She just left. I said, okay. And then they replaced her, that position again. So there you go. This is pretty funny. Jorbach, what was your last brain fart that you had to just laugh at? I was listening to the podcast last week and I realized I'd been filing my nails with a popsicle stick instead of an emery board.
Oh.
That's one of those things you do. You have to laugh at. You look down and you're like, what the fuck am I doing?
So the last brain fart I had was actually pretty recently.
Okay.
I mean, I have them all the time, but this one actually stood out. I just took a shit and I had my phone on me, and then I was doing what everybody does when they're on the toilet, just going through the phone, doing whatever, do all this stuff, leave the bathroom.
Did you forget to wipe your ass?
No, I didn't forget.
Okay, all right.
But I thought I forgot my phone. So I go in the bathroom, I'm looking for my phone, I'm looking around, I'm like, what the fuck did I put my phone? And I'm looking at the counter, I wash my hands, I'm like, okay, it's not there. I'm looking behind the toilet, I look inside the garbage can that's beside the toilet, and I started trying to like retrace my steps. And I had gone upstairs to grab something to drink, so I went upstairs, I looked in the kitchen, it's not there. I'm going, where the fuck is my phone? And I look down and I'm holding it in my hand the entire time. The whole fucking time. Like I had it on, I'm literally looking around for my phone and I'm holding my phone. So yeah, that actually happened. That was like a week ago.
That's impressive. That's impressive that your peripheral vision at no point caught the phone in your hand.
Wasn't even in my pocket. Like sometimes you have it in your pocket and you're just like, oh, where's my phone or whatever.
Actually holding it.
I'm holding it in my hand. I'm looking for it as I'm holding it. What the fuck am I doing, man? So okay. All right.
Yeah, the last one that I had was just like was one of the classics where I was just super tired, and this is just a couple days ago. I was super tired, and I was in the kitchen, and I wanted a snack, and I got some cereal, and I went and tried to put the cereal in the fridge and the milk in the cupboard.
Yep.
It was one of those.
Yep.
That was probably the last one that I can think of that was like that. But like you, I have them all the time, and mostly it's like I find nowadays I'll hunt for words. Like I'll be mid-sentence and there's a word that was there the whole time I was speaking the first part of the sentence, and then as soon as I come up to needing that word now,
it's gone.
That word just disappeared into the fucking ether. That drives me crazy. Or names, like really obvious names. I'll just random, like names are just gone. Things like that. But yeah, I think that's just called getting older. I'm only 30 and I feel like I'm fucking 80. The hell is that?
Yep.
Fucking, my God, if my memory's like that now, God help me. I'm gonna forget how to tie my shoes when I'm 42. It's just gonna leave my body. I'm gonna have to wear Velcro. Well, that's fashionable. Velcro's in.
Velcro's in.
Velcro's in. You get away with it. D-Neves, what's your favorite meme or general thing to joke about and why?
I'm not big into memes. It's just not my thing. So I'm like so out of touch with all the memes. I still use memes from like fucking 8 years ago. I'm out of I don't go on Imager.
I think that's just one of those generational things. There's like certain memes that just existed in the pocket of time that you were most invested in that culture, and then you stick to those memes, and only once in a blue moon does a new meme enter into your memosphere where all the younger people are just like, they're having their moment and all of their memes. Datbeard knows one of my favorite ones is the jazz music stops guy.
That one's that's a funny one.
Because when it's used appropriately, it just fucking kills me.
That's good.
And the beauty of it is it's not overused, so you only see it once in a fucking blue moon.
Yeah, so it's nice when you see it.
So when you see it, it's just like, and it's so perfect, and I almost want to buy a print of that painting, because it's from a painting, and hang that shit in like a bathroom or some shit.
You should.
Yeah, I think that would be a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
But that's definitely up there for like memes. But I'm the same. I'm not into memes as much as I used to be. I used to love, like in high school, university, rage comics. Reddit.com/7f12u I thought that shit was hilarious at the time. Not all of them. There's a lot of garbage ones, but just like the jazz music stops, when you get the right person using the right rage comic faces at the right time, it just fucking got me. I also like the Jackie Chan one. The Jackie Chan what the fuck face. Yeah, like that one gets me. But I don't use them personally all that much. The newest one is probably Drew Scanlon from Giant Bomb, where they ripped it. It's the blinking guy. You've seen it a million times. It's the blonde-haired dude who's doing the thing. Yeah. That also, when used appropriately, is such a great reaction. It's so fucking... It's so perfect. And I just love that it was a random dude from Giant Bomb that and now the whole internet uses that fucking thing, and just because it's so rarely a meme is somebody that's like some sort of known quantity. Like it's usually just some random fucking person on the internet, and then this was like an actual figure. It was kind of funny, but yeah, those are kind of it. My favorite thing to joke about, though, I don't have any specific individual thing. It's more about, for me, just sarcasm and dry wit shit. I'm not like a poop joke guy. Just anything with sarcasm. I'm also into that category of people that uses sarcasm as a defense mechanism. So like you'll self-deprecating humor or some shit, and you're just being sarcastic about whatever. Shit like that. Oh God, I feel like I didn't know this. Maybe I did. Datbeard asks, as a newly minted diabetic, thanks genetics, I have forsaken carbs. So what are your favorite low carb meals that you can eat all day, every day?
I don't have any.
All of your favorite meals are high carb.
I am a high carb guy, man. Unfortunately, like everything I eat and love is
a carb.
Carbs. That's my problem. That is literally my problem.
Fuck, I'm no longer dat bread. Oh, that makes dat bread even funnier to me if you're diabetic now, because you're low carb.
You need to change your name to like not dat bread. Though.
Man. I mean, shit. Like, as far as like meals go, we were like, when we went down to the family home, and we cook relatively simple there, but that's also how I cook on my own. And I've said this on the podcast a million times. Just roast vegetables. They taste better roasted.
Yeah.
You only have to put a little bit of oil, salt and pepper, you're done. There's no fancy fucking what spices am I? No, bitch. Salt, pepper, olive oil, oven for 25 minutes, and it doesn't matter what vegetable you put in there, basically, short of like leafy greens. That's it. They taste better, and you can eat a lot of them, and they're delicious. And so, like, most of my life is just roasted vegetables and whatever protein I want, if I even want protein at the time. And that's it. Chicken, fish, doesn't matter. Roasted vegetables and that, like, could be 7 days a week. So I suggest getting used to roasted vegetables.
I'm a fish and broccoli guy, so, you know.
There you go.
There you go.
Easy peasy. We'll try and do one or two short ones here.
Yeah, it's getting late.
Getting late.
Yeah.
Oh, this is quick enough for me to answer. Nick Winters, as a Magic the Gathering player, do you understand and share the community's hate for blue? Blue is my favorite color. Go fuck yourself, Nick.
There you go.
If you're a mono blue or currently blue black, you've got the smallest dick in the world. I pity you. It's a struggle. You've got to trim your pubic hair so that you can appreciate your own penis, but you have to be careful because you might lop it off in the process. The smallest penises in the world. And I'm convinced that because they're so cancerous and so anti-fun, like those deck styles, I'm convinced that pretty much everyone still working at Wizards of the Coast is a mono blue player. It's my only explanation. No other explanation makes sense as to why they would create a system in which you can watch somebody else play in a two-person game, predominantly, two-person game, somebody burn all of your cards, you can't play anything, they counter everything and then burn all your cards, and if you have no cards to draw from your library, you instantly lose. Why would you ever do that? That's an unfun mechanic. They have to be mono blue players. Even if it's not like a top-tier mechanic where you're going to win worlds with that shit, it's just cancerous. So yeah. Sorry about your small penis. It's okay. It's motion of the ocean. Let's get one more. This is easy enough and topical. Coyote Conundrum. What are your favorite Thanksgiving dishes? Also, turkey or ham?
Oh man, I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with turkey. But it can't be dry turkey. Like it's either I'd rather have a shittier ham than a shittier turkey. But if I had to choose, I gotta go turkey. I'm sorry, it's just because I have ham on Easter, right? Like every time I don't have turkey for Easter, so it's always ham. So I gotta go. And typically we have both during Christmas, so we get a little bit of both because we do turkey and Kayla's parents do ham, so I get both. But I gotta go team turkey here. I just have to.
Yeah. I used to really like ham when I was younger, and in the last few years, I just don't like ham that much anymore. It just doesn't do it for me. If it's a properly done, full-blown, oven-baked, glazed ham that you'd only do at the most special occasions, then I can live with that a bit. But if you're just talking about your store-bought, cold-cut ham, not like not cold cuts, but you know what I mean, just cold ham that you're like, what, pre-cooked? Fuck, I used to be able to eat that. I can't do it anymore. So it's turkey all day. And my favorite stuff is stuffing. The stuffing and cranberry sauce. I could just have those two things on my plate and fuck everything else, and I'd be happy.
Yep. Stuffing,
cranberry sauce. So, and for me, my favorite part is the day after, because like I've mentioned before on the podcast, I think more than likely, or at least on my streams or Lag TV, the day after here for us in this family, we put all the leftovers in layers in a casserole dish. So the turkey, the squash, the mashed potatoes, the peas, the stuffing, all in this thing with the mashed potatoes on top, and you treat it like a casserole, butter the top, you put it in the oven, you bake it. You take it out the next day, and then you put your cranberry sauce on the side. That is arguably my favorite meal, period, that isn't a hamburger. Like, that's basically my show right there. That's the peak. But definitely turkey. Ham is good, but a well done turkey is just, that's it all day. You can't.
I'm with you on that. I'm with you.
You can't.
I don't even think it's
around with a ham.
debatable. I don't even think it's debatable. Really.
No.
It's not debatable.
It's true. It's bordering on objective at this point. The turkey is just the superior product.
Yeah.
It
just is.
one thing's for sure. The difference between, I will say this, the difference between a bad ham and a good ham is not nearly as distant
as a
good turkey and a bad turkey.
I'm with you. Yeah, that's why I said I would rather have a bad ham than a bad turkey, because a bad turkey, it's just like eating fucking like sandpaper, like dry ass. Fuck, it's just it's hard to push down. Like you gotta that's
what the gravy is for.
Yeah, but even there's even some badass turkeys that you.
Yeah, it's true.
It doesn't matter if you drench it with gravy, it still lodges. Like it's just not a good time. So give me an okay turkey beats a good ass ham. All right, just give me turkey. Give me turkey.
You know what the secret is you put 15 pounds of butter underneath the skin of the turkey.
Yes.
You shorten your life by 5 years, but you get a less dry turkey.
It's worth.
That's the trade-off.
Worth.
Nobody needs to be as old as William Shatner, right? We don't need to go to space.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, money. Money. You know what else money will buy? A moist turkey.
Yes, it will.
You don't need to worry about making it yourself anymore. Somebody gives you a moist turkey, and they don't even have to use butter. They've just mastered the art of turkey. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for this week of Technical Alpha Podcast. Hopefully you enjoyed yourselves. We'll see you guys next week for more. I'll be a year older next week.
You will.
Wednesday. I think it's Wednesday anyway. I'll be 33. Fucking
33 years old.
It's
close to me. I'm 34.
I said that before, where I said 34 for some reason sounds younger than 33.
Yeah, it does in a way.
There's a weird fucking psychology about 33.
Dude, I'm turning 35.
Buckle up. That feels like 25, but worse. Where at like 25, you know you're on the downslide.
Yes.
But then you like hit 30 and you're like, okay, we're here. Then you hit 35, you're like, fuck, here we go, round 2.
I'm on my way to 40. Come 35, I'll be closer to 40 than not.
Yes.
So I'm ready.
Buckle up. Mark is screaming at us in chat because he's already there.
See you soon.
All right, well, guys, we'll see you guys next week. Until then, stay safe out there, and peace.
Peace.